Hello? Can you hear me? Making sure the mic works. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story The Tale of Ranking All the Are You Afraid of the Dark Monsters. Hello, Wolfpack. We're back with another surprise stream. Sorry, I'm making sure my mic works. Don't want it to be deactivated like last time. Hey, John Smith. Glad you made it. Want to make sure you guys can hear me. Looks like the microphone's on. Alright. Alright, just making sure everything's working. So yeah, we're gonna be ranking every Are You Afraid of the Dark monster ever on this list, from best to worst. As you can see, we got a pretty big load of the monsters down here. Alright, time to... Okay, thanks, John Smith. Hear you loud and clear. Alright, time to rank the Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters. Yep, we ranked the episodes, so now let's do the monsters. These are all the most iconic and not so hot Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters on one epic tier list. Now, I will forewarn you, there are apparently some villains missing on this list, namely the human ones and all the ghosts who turned out to be good guys. So, no Gilbert Gottfried, no creepy old lady next door, and much to my sad heart, no Mr. Click. Apparently he didn't make it on this list. These are apparently the most popular Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters and all the supernatural entities. Like, full-on, non-human, supernatural creatures. These are the monsters. Some who are ghosts and some who are creatures of the netherworld like Badge and Jake the Snake. And I did bring the revival monsters on here, so those of you who missed my talk on the infamous reboot miniseries will be talking about them again through their villains. Hey, cool show, glad you made it. Hello, Kat. This meeting of the Midnight Society is now in session. I agree, Ira. We are getting it on the way. Zebo, rank him first. I know everyone's got their favorite monsters on here. So, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Really great show. I talked about all the original episodes and from the first revival, too. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm not a big super fan, but I understand the love for it, and there are episodes I do indeed love and admit are pretty great. So, if you don't know, the Midnight Society are a group of kids who go out in, like, the middle of a forest to tell and share scary stories, where they're kind of a Rod Serling / R.L. Stein / Crypt Keeper framing device, setting up the story. The story features one of these cool monsters. They basically share who can tell the scariest campfire story every night. And, yeah, it led to a lot of great standalone stories, a lot of great monsters, as you can see, scary horror, and it traumatized kids for life, and inspired R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour, and allegedly The Nightmare Room 2, but yeah, introduced kids to horror anthology shows, and it is pretty great. So, I know some people will be asking why I didn't do a top 10, well, copyright has been hassling my Are You Afraid of the Dark videos, and that's why you haven't not seen a top 10 best worst episodes, and why you might not see a best and worst monsters, because they keep blocking it. Yeah, it's one thing if they claim it, it's another thing if it's blocked, and yeah, Are You Afraid of the Dark keeps getting blocked, so I've been doing these streams to finally get you guys those requests you want to see for the best monsters and worst monsters on here. But yeah, as you can see, we got a pretty big load. Not all the villains made it, but these are the ones fans recognize the most. These are the supernatural monsters. Got most of the original characters, and I did add the reboot villains on here. Yeah, here's the Shadowman, Mr. Top Hat, etc. Ghastly Griner, you want Zebo? I would argue being a custodian of the dead, we don't really know what Gilbert Gottfried is, but Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried technically wasn't a villain. Gottfried is funny and he is pretty threatening, but he wasn't technically a bad guy. So yeah, there's a lot out on technicality because Are You Afraid of the Dark had a lot of ghost redemption arcs. So you notice how the Frozen Ghost and the Lonely Ghost aren't on here. These are full-on antagonists, the villains, the threats. These are definitely the monsters that were coming after the kids for evil reasons. Except in Silver Side, of course, but I'm sure we'll get there, yeah. I don't know why I watched episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid when I wasn't really into scary stuff. I heard it was a good show and a lot of Nickelodeon kids really liked it. It did introduce kids to horror, getting them ready for that R-rated stuff, and Are You Afraid of the Dark did have a lot of great episodes, and as you can see, a lot of scary, iconic monsters. Some of these, like the Dead Man's Float pool zombie, the Ghastly Griner, and even Zebo, still frighten people to this very day. And for good reason, they are pretty kick-ass villains. But yeah, I gotta explain, if this is your first tier list ever, we are ranking all the monsters of Are You Afraid of the Dark from best to worst. Sorry, I got my 500 waters here to stay hydrated. Okay, so top favorites. These are the iconic, the S tier, the best of the best, the faces, the mascots of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and villains we all love and I do give respect for. Next we have terrifying. These are appropriately scary villains. They did their job, they frightened you. Didn't quite make it to S tier, but they're definitely no slouch. These are basically the A's to the A pluses. Then we have like. These are villains I do enjoy. They did okay, they did their job, they were entertaining, they fulfilled their purpose, but don't stand out amongst the highlights of Are You Afraid of the Dark's monsters. Let's just say they won't make the Mount Rushmore of Are You Afraid of the Dark foes. Then we have meh. These ones, they're duds, they're weak, they have their moments, but overall not the best of the best. And bottom we have worst, trash, garbage, F tier, failures. These are the monsters who suck, and as you can see, we have some faces on here who might fit that bill. So yeah, we might actually be seeing some in the worst entry. Especially because I brought the revival monsters on here. But yeah, let's begin this list, basically. You get the idea. Yeah, not every episode had a villain in the show, so I do understand that. Yeah, so thankfully we don't have 200 characters on here. We do have a pretty sizable load, but yeah, some of the villains were not evil. My mom showed me the show when I was young. Oh, did you like it then? Cool show? By the way, Kat, I forgot to mention about Daphne Blake in Catwoman costume and the Catwoman tier list and where she ranks her in the Catwoman tier list. Daphne I would have put on A. Yeah, it was more Goosebumps for me, but I like Are You Afraid of the Dark, and my mom noticed I was getting into horror through it, and the first time she let me watch an R-rated movie, it was Alien, a classic I love to this day. Okay. Yeah, Alien's pretty good. I prefer Aliens, but the first movie, definitely decent. Alright, so let's start this list, and we should start it with the villain who began it all. Vink's the name. Dr. Vink, with a V. Dr. Vink, I'm going to put onto terrifying. Yeah, Aaron Tager was definitely a recurring actor on Are You Afraid of the Dark. The studio apparently loved him so much, they kept bringing him back. He played multiple characters. He's even in the Zebo episode as Zebo, and his first character, Dr. Vink, basically crazy-ass mad scientist. He hangs out in, like, creepy locations and pulls these evil strings in most of his plots. He's usually a secondary antagonist, but definitely a face Are You Afraid of the Dark fans recognize. And I am not a nutbag. Yeah, classic. Dr. Vink's actor, R.I.P. Yeah, bless Aaron Tager. He did a very phenomenal job. Basically, creepy weird guy with creepy science experiments gone wrong, basically. Dr. Vink's usually the cause of conflicts. Sometimes he's the main villain, and most of the time he's a secondary antagonist. Introduced in the Phantom Cab, he's a creepy hermit who lives in the woods and basically gives the kids a subtle warning about the Phantom Cab out there while doing very absurd things. He has the blank in a jar and traumatizes the kids. He mysteriously disappears, only to come back in the Tale of the Midnight Madness, where he sells his film, which has real-life monsters in it. Basically, he wants to become a movie producer and own their theater. He gets screwed over by Mr. Krabs and declares revenge, where he brings the movie monster Nosferatu, down here on this list, comes to life, and basically goes on a killing spree in the theater until the kids solve it. But Vink won in the end because he bought the movie theater, only to instantly trade that up for a soup restaurant. He, like, owns a Denny's in his next appearance, and basically feeding off the fears of his servants. He has, like, teenagers working for him as chefs and waiters, and basically traps them in like a saw room and terrifies them with his gargoyle ornament. The gargoyle basically feeds their fears, which I guess Dr. Vink milks somehow from this room, and he puts them in the dangerous soup. He captures Nev Campbell and pretty much wins in the end. It is kind of weird. And then in his final episode, Tale of the Cutter's Treasure, he's after a haunted treasure, watched over by the ghost of Captain Cutter, and he helps the main kid heroes basically solve this mystery and find the treasure, and undergoes a surprising redemption arc in this. At the end of the episode, he turns good and helps the main boy rescue his brother. They defeat Captain Cutter and steal the treasure, and Dr. Vink and Sardo hook up in the end. I wish if Scooby-Doo goes public domain, I want to see Are You Afraid of the Dark times Scooby-Doo crossover. Well, Viacom probably won't let that happen because they own Are You Afraid of the Dark. No matter the episode he was featured in, Vink was definitely the best parts in them. Agreed. My theory is Dr. Vink is Hagrid's son. Yeah, he does pretty much look like Hagrid. Dr. Vink, I'll put him on terrifying. I don't think he's one of the scariest villains, but Aaron Tager brings his all. He's entertaining, he's amusing, and very villainous in his evil episodes. I will say he does stand out. But we also gotta do the Phantom Cab Driver. This was also the secondary villain from the Tale of the Phantom Cab, the pilot of the show. The Phantom Cab Driver, going on to meh. I do like his creepy zombie makeup, his ghost appearance. The guy playing him is definitely over the top. Basically, if you didn't see JonTron's review, he's this creepy guy who hangs out in the woods, and he offers lost people a ride in his cab. The kids are warned of a ghost cabbie out in the woods, and it turns out it's actually him. And he reveals that he kills people who ride the cab with him by crashing into a tree. Unless they can solve a riddle, then he spares them. Glitchy Yoshi. Hey, Cat, glad to see ya. Let's talk the phone police. Benny the Cab is better than him. I really need some explanation as to how Cutter returned in the revival series. Well, that's kind of the thing. They don't explain it. It's sort of like a pseudo-sequel, like a reboot-quel. They imply the first show did happen, but they also kind of go back and retcon Cutter's origin and powers. It's a weird thing that a lot of reboot calls kind of do, and Are You Afraid of the Dark did not succeed at it. Anyway, the Phantom Cabbie, I think he's mad. The guy playing him has his creepy moments, has really cool zombie makeup. That scene where he twists his head Exorcist style is still pretty gruesome. However, he's defeated easily by riddles, and he's barely a part in the episode. He's basically at the beginning and in the climax, and in the climax is where we find out he was the real villain. He's defeated when the boys solve his riddle. Spoilers, JonTron did mislead us. The boys did not die in a car crash. They actually solved it. And yeah, that's kind of the end of him. Him I'm putting on meh. Cat, I think you could be a Are You Afraid of the Dark story. Am I? Are you a ranger? Me? No, I'm not a ranger. I'm a serial killer. Love JonTron. By the way, Cat, have you heard of Famous Five? No, I have not heard of them. Alright, so you want Zebo. I'm Zebo the Clown. Zebo, appropriately, going on to favorites. Yep, this is Are You Afraid of the Dark's iconic ghost clown, next to the Ghastly Griner and the Crimson Clown, but Zebo is definitely the creepiest one. Zebo, also played by Aaron Tager, Dr. Vink, is a spooky ghost carny who haunts this fair, this traveling circus fair. Basically, he has his own exhibit at this fair, like a shrine dedicated to him. He was a world-famous clown who tragically died in a, I believe a freak fire. Zebo was a heavy chain smoker, so yeah. He died in a fire, but has an exhibit mounted in his honor. Basically, the kids break into the exhibit. One of them, Ouija, dares the main character to steal Zebo's clown nose to prove he's brave. They steal the animatronic's nose here. However, when he goes back to brag about how he stole the clown nose, the ghost of Zebo haunts him until he gives it back. Pick the right door and you'll go free. Pick the wrong door and there he'll be. The Ghastly Griner is not a clown, he's a jester. Well, he's also clearly the Joker. I did not hit her. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, cat. Hey, just some random guy who comments. My mom made me dress up as him for Halloween. Oh, you dressed up as Zebo? Pretty cool costume, but I doubt people will remember. Will you ever review glitch text? Also explain glitch text for those who don't know what it is. Well, I don't know what glitch text is either, so I can't explain. Hey! Yeah, Zebo, awesome, very creepy. Mostly because we don't actually see Zebo. Zebo is ever so present. He is pretty much a ghost. He is a full-blown ghost. We catch glimpses and hints of him here and there. He's haunting the main character's house, like sending threatening balloons, being very creepy, goofing off, and trolling him, kind of Uncle Howie style, but the difference is we don't see Zebo for the longest time, which makes him very creepier. We see hints that he's there. He's like around the corner. He's in the main character's house, leaving very obvious Blue's clues that he's there, he's haunting him. Eventually, the kid cracks and returns to the fair at night to return the clown nose and gives him a case full of cigarettes. Rare Cubans, too. I wonder who's selling this kid a whole box of cigarettes. JonTron, very funny, pointing that out. He's got like a box of cigarettes and his nose back. I do think the second animatronic of Zebo is far creepier than this one. There's kind of two statues to Zebo. There's this one in the fun house, and there's a second one which looks more lifelike and creepy, and I found this one much scarier. It's implied what Zebo actually looked like. He passes by this other shrine to Zebo, and the animatronic moves and creeps him out. He says, "What do I look like to you, some kind of clown?" I thought that one was much scarier than this one. And it's implied the Carney the Aaron Tager Carney is actually Zebo without his clown costume and makeup on. It's hinted and fan theorized by Are You Afraid of the Dark fans that the Carney is also a ghost, and a lot of people believe he's actually Zebo's ghost, what Zebo was like without his clown outfit and identity on. And yeah, Zebo, very creepy. He is a fan favorite for a reason. Basically, classic ghost, but also kind of darkly humorous at times. He's not fully evil, but you get the implication that he might do bad things too if the kid doesn't give it back. Send in the clowns. Didn't the boy flip off Zebo when he had the nose? Some people say that, but I did not see it. Mr. Zebo is the manager of the attraction. Yeah, that's what the fans theorized. What do I look like to you? Just some random guy? I definitely love that theory that the Carney and Zebo are one and the same. Yeah, because the Carney and Zebo are never in the same room or in the same frame. He also is implied to be a ghost because at the end when the boy runs away from the Zebo attraction, we see Aaron Tager's Carney appear in what's supposed to be a closed-off fair. Basically saying, hope you had a fun time at the park. And yeah, basically it's implied Zebo and the Carney might be the same guy. But yeah, Zebo, he's an icon. Who doesn't love him? Zebo even cameos in one of the reboots. We see a guy dressed like Zebo in his clown gimmick in the Mr. Top Hat Circus. Don't worry, he doesn't do anything in the plot. It's just a cameo. He's the kids are running from monsters, and they pass by a Zebo guy who looks at them as they're being chased. Zebo animatronic never actually moved. It was the Carney attending. Okay. Like I said, this one, I regret not giving it a fair shot, but I do think Laughing in the Dark is a classic, and Zebo, of course, is one of the best monsters ever. He's gone straight on to favorites. He is the king clown of town. Alright, somebody wanted the Ghastly Griner. This might upset some people, but Ghastly Griner going on to terrifying. Yeah, if you watch my channel, you know I'm not afraid of clowns, and Ghastly Griner did not really scare me. I did watch this episode very early in my Are You Afraid of the Dark phase, and I do think the villain's pretty cool, but he is a total knockoff of the Joker. Basically, the Ghastly Griner is the Joker. He's a supervillain from a fictional comic come to life. This aspiring artist kid basically buys the Ghastly Griner comic because it was made by one of his favorite artists and it was never finished. So the boy plans to finish it, only to accidentally unlock the villain, the Ghastly Griner, who comes out of the comic mass mutant style to terrorize town and go on a killing spree. He's a jester. Basically a cross between the Joker and Venom. I would not say Venom. The only scary in the episode was the blue drooling. Yeah, basically, the Ghastly Griner kills people like the Joker does, like poisons them with a Joker venom ability. He can make them laugh themselves to death or laugh themselves into insanity. We do see people die from this, so Ghastly Griner does have a kill count. He did totally murder that bus driver and a bunch of random civilians. The douchey principal dies a horrible death. Basically, the kid is trying to finish the comic book, but the Ghastly Griner is stalking him to make sure he doesn't write his defeat. And basically, it's kind of a race against time, race against the clock. The Griner goes on a murder spree, attacking a bunch of people, almost kills the main character's parents too. The Griner does have a body count, so we will give him that. His design didn't really do anything for me. It is very goofy and cartoony. Not like the Masked Mutant, who at least had a fun actor and kind of a persona. The Griner, basically the Joker. He's watered down Joker. And he's the main mascot of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Disagree there, Ira. Griner is not the mascot. Zebo is the mascot. And I think Jake the Snake is a better mascot, too. Nosferatu definitely high up there, too. I would argue the Dead Man's Float pool zombie is more popular than the Griner. Griner, I do think the episode is alright. I was kind of a bit hard on it. I can understand why people like it. The villain just didn't really scare me. I did watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, like, outside of the main age demographic, but I think the villain's pretty fun. He's pretty terrifying, very threatening. The guy playing him is definitely having fun, and the costume is definitely really good. So if you don't know, of course, the boy manages to finish the comic. The Griner almost kills his best friend, but he ends up trapped back in the comic, and they barely escape him. And the boy becomes famous, marketing the Griner, and we tease that he might come back. But this pissed me off about the reboot. They had the return of the Ghastly Griner, and he never returned. The reboot did not bring the Ghastly Griner back or modify him. They instead had the Shadowman as the second season villain. But yeah, Ghastly Griner, people were really looking forward to this guy coming back because he is considered an icon. I find him terrifying, but he is overshadowed by superior monsters for me. This clown, or jester, not as funny as Zebo, but I'll put him on terrifying. Yeah, but the drool, yeah, they're all like drooling like blue liquid out of their mouth from clown powers. That was pretty weird. Maybe he's not the scariest, but the idea of a supervillain coming to life and wreaking havoc on the world is pretty terrifying. Oh, Lowbone the Wool Gang. I love the Masked Mutant. I thought he was much more threatening because he did have more persona and a lot longer of a screen time presence than the Griner did. I just think of the teacher from Chalk Zone cartoons. Oh yeah, that's pretty much who the guy was. The design gives me Pomni vibes. Oh, from Digital Circus. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, honestly. To be fair, the Ghastly Griner is mostly scary when he opens his mouth. Yeah, he's got like weird alien drool coming out of him from grinning like a monster. That is kind of an iconic image, I won't deny. The Griner episode, not one of my favorites, but the villain I will put on terrifying. Just needed some water. Okay. Alright. Akira wanted the phone police. Phone police, I will also put onto terrifying. The phone police are basically a weird fascist secret police who monitor the phones. Basically, two troublemaking kids who like causing mischief with the phone accidentally piss off the phone police. They're a scary story the big sister tells one of the kids. However, it turns out they are real, and they are completely after the kids, and I love the tale of the phone police. I don't care what anyone says. It is one of the most enjoyable episodes. It's got goofy-ass, over-the-top moments, but it's a fun kind of goofy. The masked mutant was bested by a little boy. Well, so was the Ghastly Griner. Kind of calling the kettle black. The invincible mutant. Really? Just phones? Yeah, basically the phone police are monitoring people's communications. I believe if this episode was made by today, they would upgrade to iPhones, but it is old-fashioned landline phones because we didn't have mobile phones back in the 90s. I mean, unless you want to count those brick phones, but no kid wanted to be caught dead with those. Phone police versus reality police, the book version. The real reality police from the novel stand a chance, but the phone police I find more entertaining. Basically, there isn't really a main, phone police cop. We see multiple, foot soldiers. They drive around in police cars which play dial tone sirens. That made me laugh. They have dial tones for their sirens. They chase the kids. One of the kids gets captured and thrown into prison, and I swear we actually see one of the kid prisoners get dragged off to be executed. That actually happens in this goofy comedy episode. We see a kid being dragged out of his cell, kicking and screaming, and never see that kid ever again, so I'm assuming they successfully killed him. So, one of the kids who's on the outside running from the phone police successfully breaks his bro out of the booby hatch. They run away, the phone police chase them, and we get a weird twist implying it was all just a dream. They're finally chill and vow to never abuse their phone privileges again, except in the last shot we see the pizza guy was actually the phone police undercover, meaning it wasn't a dream. Made today would be about internet trolls, lol. Oh, you want Captain Cutter next, Ira? Which Cutter? We now have two. We have Good Cutter and Bad Cutter down below. This is literally an episode of Uncle Grandpa where Mr. Gus and Pizza Steve made prank calls on the UG time phone, and they went to jail. Never saw Uncle Grandpa, so I can't tell. Made today, it would be about internet trolls. That would be funny. An example how something silly can actually be scary for youngsters. If you prank calls, you get locked up and even die. Yeah, that's kind of why I liked it, because basically, I get the idea. They're basically teaching kids a lesson about don't abuse your phone privileges, don't make prank calls, don't, hog the phone from your family, and the phone police basically scare them straight. That is the idea of the story. The phone police come after them. Basically tells kids to stop doing prank phone calls, which kind of died out when caller ID became a thing. But I could see this episode still working in the modern day, but the phone police would upgrade. Will you rank akumatized villains from Miraculous next? Probably not, because I checked out of Miraculous Ladybug after Marinette failed to stop Hawkmoth from stealing every Miraculous. Okay, you want both. Alright, both Captain Cutters. Alright, we'll do them next. I prefer the Crypt Keeper lesson on prank calls. Talk about a dead ringer. We gotta get you straight, Jack. Scared straight. Crypt Keeper, such an icon. Yeah, phone police, I'll put on terrifying because despite being very silly and goofy, they are a genuine threat in this episode, which made them so entertaining. Definitely one I'd pick up and call on every time. Definitely terrifying. Alright, you want Captain Cutter. Alright, we'll do the good Captain Cutter first from the Tale of Cutter's Treasure. I'm gonna put this guy on like. Yeah, I know, the guy who played the priest from Alien Cubed plays Captain Cutter, and I do like him, but he is not an iconic Are You Afraid of the Dark foe. Basically, Captain Cutter is a ghost pirate haunting a haunted island. Basically, he's trying to hide his treasure and killing any swashbucklers coming after it. Two boys discover the treasure's whereabouts, however Captain Cutter tries to defeat them before they can get their hands on his booty, and Dr. Vink and Sardo help them along the way. This episode is actually a two-parter, and the guy playing Captain Cutter, definitely having fun. He's over the top, he's crazy, very threatening, almost has kind of a tragic backstory here because he's kind of bound to this treasure, basically guarding it for the rest of his life. Can't really enjoy his gold. I thought you said Captain Cutler. No, it is Captain Cutter. Cutter. Also, Teen Titans Go should be arrested by the phone police. Teen Titans Go should be canceled. Also, still watch Season 6 of Miraculous. I kind of dropped out of the show after they kind of padded it out and basically reversed Marinette and Adrian's relationship. Now, Cat Noir wants to date Marinette, but Marinette wants to date Cat Noir, and kind of basically doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 4 seasons. The only true two-parter, Silver Sight, was originally a 90-minute movie. I didn't hear that. Silver Sight was supposed to be a movie, but it got chopped up into parts. The funny thing is, the first reboot series of Are You Afraid of the Dark was also supposed to be a movie, but it got sliced into a streaming miniseries. I think they could have made the Ghost Pirates scarier. Yeah, I agree. The Ghost Pirates, not very creepy. Mostly because Captain Cutter looks way too much like a normal guy. He is supposed to be a ghost pirate, but it's kind of hard to tell because they did just get a guy in live action because Are You Afraid of the Dark was cheap. When he's begging not to be left alone with his worthless treasure, I felt bad for him. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Cutter does have a sympathetic lair there, but it's not super present because he is trying to kill the kids. Basically, I believe he abducted one of the brothers. The older brother goes to save him, and he has to play his Legends of the Hidden Temple game to get to the treasure and rescue his bro. And yeah, it is pretty much Legends of the Hidden Temple set because Nickelodeon owned both shows. What's your favorite akumatized villain? What was her name? Sorry, I'm trying to remember her name. It's been a long time since I watched Miraculous. I did like Sabrina as the copycat, kind of. She was like this weird clown girl, and she could copy other Miraculous wielders as superpowers. I did like her. Sabrina, I feel so sorry for her, so she's usually a tragic villain. But yeah, I liked her a lot. Yo, Wolf Entertainment, what's up, my man? Hey, Connor, just ranking Are You Afraid of the Dark Monsters? It aired as a movie on Nickelodeon. Okay, I did not know that, John Smith. I was not really alive when Are You Afraid of the Dark, the original series, was on the air. Like, I couldn't even count to 10 when the first revival came. The Flying Dutchman is a better ghost pirate. Yeah, I agree. He's also funnier. Davy Jones Locker. He also killed a lot of people in life for his treasure. Yeah, we do see a lot of corpses there. Mostly skeletons. They're all decayed. Like, Captain Cutter has skulls all around his hidden temple. By the way, Cat Spawn have manga with Japanese spawn, then AI Simmons. Copycat is a different Akuma. The name you're looking for is Miracular. Yeah, that's her name. Thanks, Glitchy. Like, I want to see Captain Cutter versus Captain Cutler from Scooby-Doo and Are You Afraid of the Dark. You mean Miracular. Yeah, that's her name. Sorry, it's been forever since I watched that show, okay? Anyways, Captain Cutter, I do think he's pretty good. I'll put him on like. Not one of my favorite foes, but he is entertaining. He has his moments. Not one of the best villains, but basically a secret ghost hiding in the dark. We find out he's guarding the treasure, and ultimately he loses. The boys outwit him. They take a piece of his treasure, and his hidden temple falls apart, where the boys make it out alive and get their happy ending. Cutter, I like him, but don't really love him. That's the thing. Alright, but now, let's get our first worst entry on here with Captain Cutter from the revival season, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Ghost Island. Yes, this guy is Captain Cutter, and he's going on the worst. Yes, I know it's hard to tell. This guy, this weird soy boy twink who looks like he's about to cry and crap himself, this is reboot Captain Cutter. Captain Cutter is the twist villain of Ghost Island. You might be surprised that the Mirror Monster lady who was in all the advertising isn't on here, but that's because he's the actual antagonist, and as I said in my last tier, they bastardized the hell out of Captain Cutter. He is nerfed. He is a pathetic crybaby wuss in Ghost Island. Like I said, glad I dodged a bullet. Yeah, you did, Shadowlink. Ghost Island sucks. Though it's not the first use of the trope of a ghost pirate haunting his own treasure. No, it's not, but it's also not very fun. The worst villain from Are You Afraid of the Dark, in my opinion, is the stupid evil dog. Yeah, you mean Digger. We'll get to him. But the door is locked and the only way out is through the perfume department. Let's do it. I always hate going in there. Yeah, classic. Will you rank Midnight Society members? Probably not, because I didn't really have that much attachment to them. Yeah, Midnight Society members are not on here, and to tell you the truth, I don't remember most of their names. I know Gary and Tucker and Kiki. Everyone else, kind of a blur, especially the Revival members from the 90s Revival and even some of the reboot characters. The reboot characters were kind of rip-offs of the first show Midnight Society members. Also want to see Keith David as Captain Cutter if we get a better Are You Afraid of the Dark remake. Probably not gonna happen now because they already screwed the pooch with Cutter. Does the Revival Captain Cutter have a backstory or any powers that he can do? They heavily alter Cutter's backstory. He's no longer a pirate guarding his treasure. Basically, we find out in a flashback that this woman who's the actual ghost haunting Ghost Island, the Midnight Society are at this private summer resort, basically going on vacation. One of the Midnight Society members lost her sister. Her sister died, and her friends are trying to help cheer her up, help her clear her head with a nice vacation. However, the resort is haunted. There's this evil, scary ghost woman, like this Bloody Mary type of woman, going around and haunting the island, attacking guests and scaring everyone. They find out that she isn't the actual villain. She's actually a victim trying to get revenge because she was used and betrayed by an evil, toxic man. That man being Captain Cutter. We see in a flashback, the Bloody Mary chick used to be a woman who lived in this farmland on the island, and then she met Captain Cutter. Cutter was this smooth, sexy pirate like Wesley. He was this cool guy who went on adventures, and he seduced this farm girl and offered her like a life of adventures. They would hook up, go around, leave this island, and explore the world. However, Captain Cutter lied and betrayed her, trapped her soul in a magic mirror, sort of the captured soul style, because the magic mirror would allow him to live forever. Captain Cutter traps people in this magic mirror because it helps him live forever. It feeds his immortality. It is kind of a callback to the Captured Souls episode. Captain Cutter is actually reincarnated into this weird twink soy boy loser here who's actually the manager of the hotel the Midnight Society are staying at. Basically, his treasure is souls, and he's profiting off of them by running a haunted hotel. He's kept this woman and other people trapped here to power his immortality, and he's running this rich, like, elitist hotel. And the Midnight Society find out he's been living forever and abusing her and has no intention of helping the ghosts. He's profiting off of them and using the hauntings to attract tourism, basically. That is Captain Cutter's evil plan. That is his end goal. He's immortal, and the Midnight Society stumble upon his scheming. They meet a good ghost, try to help the ghost girl, but haha, the hotel manager was the bad guy all along. And he shoves the main character into the magic mirror where she's like in this weird Silent Hill world, while Captain Cutter is using the power, I guess, to I don't know, make himself live forever, and he's trying to silence the Midnight Society from exposing the truth. And you have instantly made me glad I never watched these modern reboots. Yeah, Ghost Island, it sucks. It is worse than Mr. Top Hat's Circus of Fear, and somehow worse than The Curse of the Shadowman. I hate Ghost Island. It is way too long. The main characters are unlikable. The worst Midnight Society, not at all scary. It is heavily reliant on jump scares. Basically, the ghost girl trapped in the mirror is kind of our fake-out villain, and all she does is very lame jump scares. Her makeup looks good, but she's not very intimidating, not very memorable, and basically it's a lesson against toxic men. Basically, the ghost girl is a victim who was used by this evil, evil toxic man who used her and is benefiting off her suffering because Captain Cutter is an imperialist colonizer douchebag. Yeah, that is who Captain Cutter is in the reboot. The jerk killed a lot of people just to save his own butt, and glad they gave him a bad ending. And I like the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot. You have poor taste then, Anime Night. Only remember Megan because she was Isha Cuthbert. I don't know who that is, so I didn't remember her. What are your thoughts on Akuma Reflecta? I believe, isn't that the goth girl? I'm sorry, it's been forever since I watched Miraculous Ladybug. Reflecta, not a big fan of her design. She looks like a Barbie girl. Kagami and Felix have better redemption than Chloe. Like, so cool. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Chloe sucks. Literally, Goosebumps piano lessons can be murder. Did the ghosts not believe the actual villain better? Yeah, they did. You're describing reboot Captain Cutter as an evil version of Angel Dust? No, because Angel Dust is actually funny. Yeah, I don't know why the revival series ruins Captain Cutter. Look to a hunky boy. I'd rather take the OG Captain Cutter than him. Yeah, basically this weird, non-threatening soy boy twink is Captain Cutter. This is not how he looked in the flashback. He looked more like Jack Sparrow, but he apparently reincarnated and it made him younger. Again, they're trying to copy the Captured Souls because all Ghost Island does is rehash a lot of classic plots. It's the Captured Souls, the Mystic Mirror, the Tale of Cutter's Treasure, and they even throw in Station 109.1 in there for good measure. Oh, and yeah, the Midnight Society, their hotel room is Hotel Room 214. Get it? Like Apartment 214. Yeah, it is all a bunch of crappy member berries. Being autocorrect has been a dick lately. I feel that, John Smith. I've imagined the good Cutter being freed by Jack Sparrow and reluctantly joining his crew. Or, you know, Davy Jones. By the way, Kat, did you see Ghost Rider vs. Spawn, and was it good or mid-tier? I have not seen it yet. Well, I see it's worse like Ghost Beach. Movie Barbie. Do you guys ever think about dying? Yeah, not even gonna watch that. I watched clips of it, not a fan of Margot Robbie's Barbie. Yeah, Julika, that was her name. She is the goth girl. Yeah, I saw her. She's Reflecta. Not a big fan of her design. She looks like a Bratz doll. And her Akuma form makes people into her so she can be seen on all the pictures, I guess. Yeah, really lame ability. A lot of better monsters. Midnight 214, so funny but so cringe. Yeah, 214. Ugh. Oh, and speaking of which, what guaranteed him on the worst spot is Captain Cutter basically gets threatened by these pathetic, scrawny, twink-looking Gen Zer Midnight Society. They catch on to Cutter, they free the main girl, and have what's supposed to be a badass standoff, but these kids are so scrawny and frail that they're not threatening in the slightest. They're not badass. They're not cool. They don't threaten him. They're not intimidating. They look weaker than Twink Cutter. That's how pathetic the New Age Midnight Society is. And basically, they free the ghost from the mirror, and Captain Cutter is trapped in his own device. I believe he was trapped in the mirror or killed. And yeah, he's basically defeated in a very anticlimactic fashion. The fact that I can't even remember tells you how good this reboot was. But yeah, Captain Cutter goes out like a crying, pathetic pussy because he was an evil, weak man all along, and yada, yada, yada. The ghosts are set free, and Captain Cutter gains his comeuppance, and all the kids free the ghosts, and I guess befriend them at the end. The ending is very confusing and weird, but Captain Cutter, worst villain. This is easily the bottom of the barrel. He might be outclassed by some worse ones later, but he belongs in the F tier. This is the worst captain ever. Nobody will remember him like Jack Sparrow. Cat should really watch Miraculous again. Maybe there's a diamond in the rough. Yeah, I used to like it. I watched the first 3 seasons, then I gave up after Hawkmoth stole all the Miraculous, and we kept the love triangle going on longer. Question, how can I send you a tier list? Talk to me on Twitter. Or I should say X now. It's called X. Like, if you like Purple Tigress made her power, like, okay, like, yeah. And the twist ending, Jack Sparrow enters the scene, kicks shots, and beats up Captain Cutter. Then he invites them all to dinner and goes to heaven with Bloody Mary. Would have been better. Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please, sir. Captain Cutter gets a 1 out of 10 and a decayed skull. Worst villain of Are You Afraid of the Dark revival so far. Yeah, he is easily the worst. Ghost Island sucks. Do not recommend it. Captain Cutter being bastardized is just one of the many problems of that final season. Alright, so you want the Watcher's Woods next. Okay, here he is. The Watcher in the Woods. I'll put him on like. Not a huge fan of the Watcher's Woods. Basically, this guy is a cosmic evil forest spirit who haunts these evil woods around a girls' summer camp. Some girls got lost in the woods. He trapped 3 girls out in the Watcher forest, and he's basically this creepy, weird tree beard looking man. He's attached to like trees, kind of Zetsu style from Naruto. He's this weird plant man. You see his face come out of trees. You see him part nature. He doesn't really have a body. He's not a super mobile creature, just a cosmic being. Will you be ranking all the Disney villains? Haven't found the right tier list for that. The Librarian, we'll do her after. Anyways, the Watcher, basically, he traps these girls in a summer camp. The main villain are really these 3 evil Hocus Pocus witches who trap Kaylee from Firefly in a cage where they plan to kill her and eat her. So I believe her partner, like she has like a partner, a friend, who's out in the girls' summer camp with her. She basically goes to endure all the trials of the Watcher's Woods, and out of nowhere, the Watcher forms a crush on this 13-year-old girl. It is very out there, random, and creepy. Yeah, it doesn't really do much despite being the Watcher, being the main talked about threat. Yeah. No, the Watcher's Woods witches. Yeah, the witches, they look like the Hocus Pocus witches. I'm just being real. Like, they're kind of the real villains because they're actually mobile, while the Watcher is Zetsu, hanging out in the forest and in the trees. Basically, he talks to this black girl and tries to hit on her. He, like, forms this very creepy crush on her because she respects nature and he sees a kindred spirit in her. However, she passes the trials and rejects his advances, where she breaks the Watcher's curse. And the Hocus Pocus witches are free before they can kill and eat Kaylee, and the witches get a very undeserved redemption arc where basically they revert back to when they were children and are finally free from the Watcher's Woods, now good, and the black girl and Kaylee, who didn't like each other, become besties by the end of summer camp, and the Watcher kind of disappears. Yeah, I like his design, but he's a really nothing villain. That is kind of the problem. He hangs out in the back, and honestly, this story could have been written without him involved at all. But I will say I do like how he looks. The actor is definitely creepy, but the Watcher is not an iconic tree. I am Herbert. I want the Librarian next. The Sanderson sisters, whatever. The Watcher's Woods was not one of my favorite episodes. Watcher in the Woods feels like a cool Birch grandfather. Yeah, his design is pretty cool. That wins him points, but writing and plot-wise, he doesn't really do much. That's why he's kind of down low. The witches are just okay villains, are probably one of the scariest villains in the series. The witches are not that scary. Bro, Jake the Snake and the Closet Monster are on here. They are scary. Alright, since you asked so nicely, let's do the Quiet Librarian. Going on to terrifying. Yeah, so close to favorites, but the one thing holding her back is a very weak design. So, The Tale of the Quiet Librarian, underrated episode. It is pretty low-key creepy, very unsettling, and it's held magnificently well by its main villain, the creepy librarian. Basically, the creepy librarian watches her library at night and kills people / traps their souls forever if they're ever too loud in the library, especially at night. She wanders the halls basically looking for people making loud noise. If any kids are still in the library at night, they run risk into running into her, and she absorbs their soul with her magic box. I believe it was supposed to look like a book, but yeah, she has like this magic box which sucks up their souls, and basically they become an empty shell, a husk that's locked in the secret room, reading books quietly without sound forever. And yeah, very creepy villain. The Quiet Librarian is a very unsettling Mr. X-like monster. Her skulking around looking for people and hearing sounds and basically silencing those sounds with her dark magic. Very, very unsettling. Definitely wins points for making people permanently silent and trapping her victims in a hidden room. Ah, shut up. The Phantom Virus. Okay, so yeah. You're right. No human being can stack books up like these. Like I see Hamster and Gretel made a cartoon with a creepy librarian who has a quiet machine like Viacom didn't sue Disney. Copy their Are You Afraid of the Dark villain. Yeah, that's because Disney has Kiss My Ass money. Who's scarier, the librarian from Are You Afraid of the Dark or the librarian monster from Monsters University? Gonna go with the Are You Afraid of the Dark one because we actually see what happens to her victims. So yeah, one of my favorite scenes is when she's chasing the kid heroes who are trapped in the library, and it is so quiet and one of the girls is trying to desperately keep it down. However, she's following her because she can hear the sound of her heartbeat. And that's how the librarian is finding her and trailing her. She can hear her heartbeat because the library is that quiet. And that is a very creepy and super effective scene. Absolutely love that, and made the monster far scarier. So, as you can tell, this Are You Afraid of the Dark episode actually does have a happy ending. They end up defeating the Quiet Librarian, they destroy her magic, and all the kids are set free, and the librarian, as far as we can tell, is gone, but the library now has a newfound respect for the silence. Quiet Librarian found her terrifying. She is a creepy, effective villain. Like her, I don't like her design, but her actress definitely gave it her all, and very unsettling scenes. If you weren't afraid of libraries, this one is as scary as the Resident Evil library. She's like if the Page Master was gender bent and evil. More like Mrs. X. Yeah, library episode from Big City Greens. I remember Courage had an episode with a silent librarian. Yeah, I remember that too. She was pretty creepy, but she wasn't really doing much outside of making the books come to life. But they don't let the loud people shown on the screen curse UPG rating. You can't stop your heart unless you're Mickey Mouse. Change my mind, keep beating. Alright, yeah, Quiet Librarian, she's definitely a page turner. We'll put her on terrifying. Alright, somebody wants the Renegade virus. We're gonna put him on the worst. Yep. All these years later, the Renegade virus, I do not like as a villain. The Renegade virus, I am not a big fan of this episode, mostly because this one is easily the silliest villain ever, and the Renegade virus episode is one of the goofiest, most over-the-top, so bad it's good messes ever. So, if you like Renegade Virus, fine. Me, I just found it way too silly and goofy. Like Batman and Robin goofy. Not fun goofy like Batman Forever or Adam West. And it all comes down to how over-the-top ridiculous the main villain is. So, the Renegade Virus is basically a phantom virus who was created in this VR video game world. Basically, we follow two troublemaking kids. They basically Zach Morris and Screech. Zach Morris is a dick to Screech. However, when he's testing the VR goggles, Screech creates a virus that was supposed to scare his best friend and basically humiliate him and get even with Zach Morris. So Screech can laugh at his suffering and basically get the last laugh. However, the virus gets a mind of his own, gains sentience, and starts corrupting the game and nearly kills Zach Morris. And The guy playing him, so ridiculous. He is a very goofy-ass villain, very silly. The makeup on him is very good, but if you can't tell, the Renegade virus is actually a little person in black leather and wires, and he looks more like an alien than a virus. Basically, he trolls the hell out of Zach Morris, and his ultimate end goal is basically to hack into his brain so he can take over his body and escape the computer world. However, he's playing the video game, and he has time to basically race against the clock and beat him, escape from the virus before it's too late, and yeah, it's goofy. This villain is such a goofy clown. I did not take him seriously once. The actor playing him definitely having way too much fun because he's not very intimidating. Let's play ball. The freaking alien villain, Claw. AKA that Phantom Virus is better. Yeah, he is. The so bad it's good villain. Yeah, Renegade Virus, it's bad, but it's a very funny bad. I especially love the goofy ways he tries to stop Zach Morris. Like, Zach tries to take his bike, he puts a giant padlock over, like, the bike, so he can't unlock and has to run. He chases the main character on a tricycle. Yeah, I kid you not. He rides a tricycle like Billy the Puppet and is chasing him, breaks down the door with the trikey, and my favorite, he goes up the stairs, like sliding up the railing, and it looks so ridiculous. You cannot not avoid laughing at how he slides up the stair railing, like going up Mary Poppins style. It is so ridiculous, and the best part of all, when he corners Zach Morris, he reveals he's going to hack into him with his plug hand. He has, like, a plug over, like, his left hand, and he's going to literally plug himself into Zach Morris, like he's technology, basically, to hack his mind, and yeah, he's always laughing, too. He's like going, let's play, buddy boy. Yeah, he's never stops laughing. He's more goofy than the Ghastly Griner. Brainiac is much better, fully agree. Yeah, the Phantom Virus is the Scooby-Doo one, forgive me. Why does the Phantom Virus looks like one terrible alien live-action movie? Brainiac and Ultron are better. Yeah, Ultron's coming back, too, because the MCU is desperate to get your viewership back. Anna McCormick was the Quiet Librarian. No idea who that is. Basically what Smith did to that guy in the Matrix sequels. Yeah, kind of. He's a child-friendly Freddy Krueger. No, fully disagree there. This guy is not a Freddy Krueger type of villain. Not even Christopher Lloyd could salvage this malware. Nope, he can't. Wait a second. Why are the Hunchback from The Last Dance and Shakespeare character from The Walking Shadow here? They weren't villains. I did not make this list, so yeah, apparently, I guess whoever made it decided they were too cool to pass over, but we'll talk about them. Mary Poppins, y'all. Brainiac, Ultron, and Sigma are better. Like the Renegade Virus is if Viacom tried to make an Ultron parody. And he calls him Einstein all the time. Yeah, basically he calls Zach Morris Einstein. Nice moves, Einstein. Think again, Einstein. Game over, Einstein. It gets very ridiculous real fast, and the Renegade Virus is not very threatening. He's so goofy and ridiculous, and basically a bad piece of malware. He's going right on to the worst, I'm not gonna lie. As a villain, he is bad, but as a comedy, it is pretty much comedy gold. Renegade Virus, not one of my favorite episodes, but I can see people enjoying it for how ridiculous it is. But the Renegade Virus, he is a bad piece of tech. We'll leave him on the rock bottom. So yeah, Shadowlink pointed out, the Hunchback is on here for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I did not make this list. Somebody else did. I kind of found it. These are all the fan favorite monsters, but the Hunchback from The Tale of the Last Dance, I will put onto like, because I don't really see him as a terrifying villain. Basically, This is Are You Afraid of the Dark's Phantom of the Opera. The Hunchback is a monster who lives under the catacombs of this school, and he has this kind of cutesy, innocent crush on one of the drama girls. Basically, they're like setting up a play. He lives under the theater, again, Phantom of the Opera, possibly Phantom of the Auditorium style. He's allegedly this mysterious ghost who died down there. He abducts the girl and tries to basically form a relationship with her, tries proposing to her, tries being friends with her, reveals his sad, sympathetic backstory that he's a monster, all that jazz, and the girl is at first scared of him, but starts to see a good side to him. Regardless, still a good, decent episode. Should have had Mr. Click on here, though. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Click's not on here, but I guess because he's a human, he doesn't count. So Viacom tried Quasimodo. Yeah, kind of. I guess you wouldn't download the Renegade virus anytime soon. No, I would not, Ira. Cyberspace. You want the Chameleon next. Alright, we'll talk about them after. I'd rather take the Goosebumps Phantom of the Auditorium than the villain on my OP. Yeah, okay. Anyways, basically we find out the monster is not evil, he's actually a good guy. The girl's boyfriend breaks into the school catacombs. It is very hilarious how this normal public high school has this creepy, deep catacombs. There's like cliffs and stalagmites and stalactites everywhere. This long dungeon kind of area where the Phantom is living under there. The Hunchback, he has like a hunchback. He has weird claw hands. He honestly looks more like a normal human guy minus his mutant appendages. But yeah, basically we find out he's a good guy. He and the boyfriend get into a fight. However, the boyfriend and the guy actually get along. He does save his life, like before he falls down one of the cliffs, and they become friends. We find out he's just a misunderstood gentle soul who wanted a friend, and the girlfriend takes pity on him, and they have one dance together, showing him human kindness and decency, where the Hunchback apologizes for being a dick, he lets them go, and he finally leaves the school to do something else with his life. Which, all cute, but there's one huge question. Who the hell is this guy? They never explain, like, this guy's origin. He's this weird, deformed mutant man living under the school. It's implied he was a student there, and he did have some familiarity with the drama girl he was after. Like, he had a crush on her, he knew her, they were in high school together, but it's never delved into. We don't find out. It's like, we don't know this guy's story. It's kind of weird. This random monster man who was a high school student here became a mutant somehow and has lived under here for years and was watching the drama girl. It's implied he knew her and had some kind of past crush on her, but never explained. And I don't know where the hell he's going. He's like leaving his only home he's lived in for like years. So yeah, he's going to, I guess, move into some new high school, but he's now a good guy. But yeah, I like the episode. The Last Dance is a pretty sweet episode. I would argue it's kind of a better final episode than Night Nurse, but we all know Silver Sight is the true finale. But this guy, I do like him. Pretty nice guy, good redemption arc, and a very cute, tragic Quasimodo romance. I'll put him on like, definitely a showstopper. Yeah, Mr. Click should be on here from the Zombie Dice. Kat, are you gonna review this HBO Spawn? Probably not, because, probably not. I don't have much familiarity with Spawn. Unfortunately, my introduction to Spawn was that terrible movie with John Leguizamo as the molester clown, and yeah, it did not impress me. I have not watched the animated series at all. I'm kind of binge-watching Lightspeed Rescue at the moment, and finishing up Kim Possible because my friend Emily wanted to talk about it. Cat, last comment on the Renegade virus, he's like Leprechaun. Well, Warwick Davis is actually funny. I see Spawn cry. Alright. Anyways, yeah. Last Dance, Hunchback, I do like him. He's definitely interesting. So we'll put him on like, but he is overshadowed by truly evil monsters. Alright, trying to remember. Oh, you wanted the Chameleons. Okay, there are two on here. There's the girl from Sister Sister and the evil lizard folk. The Tale of the Chameleon. Okay, so The Tale of the Chameleon is a fan favorite episode. However, I was not super in love with it. I remember giving it a silver skull, and the lizards, gonna put them on meh. Unfortunately, the lizards don't do much. Basically, these are alien lizards trying to steal human lives, like in disguise. They're disguised as ordinary household pets. However, one of the lizards copies the sister. The main characters are the sister girls. I'm also gonna put onto meh. Basically, the sister girl is impersonating one of the sisters, and there's kind of like a copycat identity theft episode going on. She's impersonating the sister and trying to basically kill the family and have them replaced by her lizard clan. They're stealing human lives and disguising themselves amongst humankind for a secret invasion. And it leads to one of the famous twists where basically it's which one is the real one. And the main character chose poorly. She killed her real sister, and the chameleon girl actually won, and she's going to supplant the lizards with her family and friends. And yeah, Tale of the Chameleon, not one of my favorite episodes, and the villain I thought was alright. I'm putting her on meh. She had her moments, but the cheesy and cheap effects really held this episode back for me. The chameleons were fine, but let's be real, the hatching had the better lizard villains. Yeah, fully agree there, Shadow Link. The Silver Sight Kid next. Alright. I want gold! Wait, the chameleons have 2 villains, dang. First time Are You Afraid of the Dark has 2 villains. Well, technically we do have another one with 2 villains on here, but we'll get to that. Anyways, the chameleons, they're both from the same episode, basically. There's this really god-awful special effect where they keep swapping out when it's a real lizard and when it's a plastic toy lizard. We see the sister girl carries a plastic toy, then we see shots of a real lizard walking around, and basically the sister girls did not want to touch real slimy lizards. So, yeah, really lazy effect. The chameleons won at the end of their episode because the copycat sister is still on the loose, and she's going to have all these lizards basically replace her family and friends, implying a villain wins ending, but considering that she hasn't actually done it yet, it's kind of up in the air. It's a vague Bolivian army kind of twist. I see this is better than Kung Fu Panda 4, the Chameleon. Well, Kung Fu Panda 4 sucked, Akira. Yeah, okay, so basically you get the idea. They're secret invaders, and Goosebumps is Calling All Creeps is the better version of these characters. We'll just put that out now. Calling All Creeps, way better than the Tale of the Chameleons. These two, pretty meh, not my favorites. I think they're kind of overrated. Alright, speaking of which, the Silver Sight monster. So, didn't have time to go over the finale, but I do think the Silver Sight is good. I understand why fans love it. Silver Sight is the true series finale for classic Are You Afraid of the Dark? However, the one negative I did have is the monster who looks like Joey King. Going on to meh, I'll put her above the chameleons. Silver Sight Demon, basically this ancient cosmic demon who is looking for the Silver Sight. This is actually an episode, a 3-part movie about the Midnight Society going on their own scary adventure. They're trying to uncover the Silver Sight, which is basically an infinity stone. It is a total infinity stone. It was lost somewhere in their town, and the stone can give the user godlike powers. And this evil demon, the Silver Sight monster, is after it, basically trying to take the stone for themselves and screwing with the Midnight Society on their Indiana Jones adventure along the way. Like it's not a chameleon since Liz from the Magic School Bus looks like a chameleon. Yeah. Sigh, that does it, cat. That does it. Kung Fu Panda 4 sucks so bad. Yeah, it does. It's also unnecessary. Well, my cat chases lizards. They do taste very yummy. I like frog's legs. As much as I love the Silver Sight, I do agree the villain was kind of weak. That being said, it had a cool death scene. Yeah, that was the best part. It died. I joke that this is Joey King because, yeah, she looks like Joey King from that awful Sans episode, doesn't he? So, the Silver Sight, the villain's just not threatening. Basically, it's an evil demon kid, and it gets a cool transformation in the climax where Gary and the Midnight Society unite. They find the Silver Sight. It was basically in like a merry-go-round horse. It was like in its eye. They uncover it. The Silver Sight monster tries to take it, unleashing its final form, which is a very creepy zombie kind of look, and they easily defeat it, but it has a really gruesome death. I believe he rapidly decayed to death, which stood out for fans because it is a pretty hardcore death scene. But Silver Sight monster, the villain is the weakest part. I'm sorry. I like the Silver Sight, but this monster doesn't really look creepy. It's kind of a mystery what this demon really is, and the final fight, basically the Midnight Society unite Power Ranger style, and they easily kick his ass, and he dies. A really cool death scene, but villain, not super strong. I do think the villain is easily the cheapest part of the Silver Sight, because he's not scary, he's not threatening, we don't really get a full backstory for him, and basically it's kind of the Midnight Society story. It's their Nancy Drew adventure, while the villain is there on the side doing evil things. Him, I'm putting on meh. Sorry, Joey King, but you deserve better. So now, Mary in the Are You Afraid of the Dark PC game, The Tale of the Orpheus's Curse. I've gotten requests to talk about The Tale of Orpheus's Curse. However, it is an old video game, which I can't find, and I don't really have room on my laptop for it. I'm not sure I can even play it on my laptop. It needs the old-fashioned fatback computers. The Silver Sight is frickin' Thanos for the Infinity Stones. Yeah, that is his story. Don't forget the traitor! Yeah, the Silver Sight was evil. Alright, so yeah, I'll put him on meh. Alright, let's knock off another garbage tier character. Let's do Madame Visage from the Many Faces. Going on to worse. This villain, really cool design, like the makeup. Basically, this is Scary Mary for Are You Afraid of the Dark? Except her plot is really stupid and relies on a lot of BS contrivances and the main characters being idiots. This girl, basically Scary Mary for Are You Afraid of the Dark? She's this magical model who steals women's faces. She has this weird cult and lives in a mansion. She's basically super sexy and never seems to age. One of the main girls goes here believing that she's a modeling agent. However, she still steals like sexy girls' faces and keeps them held prisoner Scary Mary style. But the problem? This is not happening in a magical world. This is literally like a mansion in a public city. And I keep asking, why the hell are the girls submitting themselves as slaves when they can escape? They never clarify how powerful Madame Visage is. There is like no obstacles or security keeping them trapped here or keeping people from breaking into her mansion. So why don't you leave the house, call the cops, and bust her ass? Like, there's nothing stopping them from beating her. There's nothing. She has like no superpowers. Her only magic is she steals people's faces. And basically she keeps the girls as slaves, promising that they'll get their faces back one day, but they have to be her slaves for all eternity. They're wearing like Scary Mary servant masks, and yeah, it is basically a bad prototype for Scary Mary because they can escape anytime they want, whereas Scary Mary had a magic world which was keeping them prisoner. Scary Mary, she's not. No, she is not. Also, the PC games have Felicia, the Headless Ghost Woman. I only play for Felicia, the Catwoman. Why is Madame Visage looks like that? Does she have too many makeup? This is her real face because she spent so much time changing her face and wearing other people's faces that she lost her own identity. And basically she doesn't want to be ugly anymore. She's luring in girls who want to be aspiring models only to betray them and rob them of their looks and make them her slave handmaidens. And basically, worst defeat ever. Basically, the main character helps her friend and breaks into her mansion very easily and steals her spell book because there is zero security or even locks on the door stopping people from going into her private room. And the model girls turn against her and basically dogpile her. They beat her up. That's how they stop her. They beat her up, which makes me scream, why didn't you do this before? Why didn't you all gang up on her and force her to reverse the magic? No, it took this main character's adventure to finally snap them into action. They beat up the witch, force her to reverse the curse, and all of them get their faces back while Madame Visage is ugly and will go to prison for life. I wish Chloe's face should have been removed by Madame Visage. If you're in a horror movie, you make poor decisions. Yeah, basically, it relied on everyone being idiots and submitting to her real easily. We never get an extent or a limitation on what Madame Visage's witch powers are, which is kind of a bad thing because she's supposed to be so all-powerful, but they tell you but never show you, and her defeat is so anticlimactic. Yeah, she loses her face, and this is what she looked like all along, and she's defeated, and all the modeling girls go off living happily ever after. Yeah, many faces, it sucks. The makeup looks good. This is a very creepy design, but the plot is stupid, relies on a lot of contrivances, and the villain is anticlimactically defeated when she could have been defeated at any friggin' time. Is the Burden Beast on the list? I don't see it. You might have to point out. We haven't found her yet. Like the movie The Substance, which is a woman who takes substance, who wants to be young, which is better than taking girls' faces. Yeah, way better. Alright, speaking of bad, let's put the Quicksilver Demon down here. Yeah, Tale from the Quicksilver, or no, the Tale of the Quicksilver. Still overrated, still not a fan, and one thing that solidified that is the weak-ass villain. This is basically a demon who haunts the house, and yeah, that's kind of it. Basically, he moves the furniture and he spray paints cues everywhere. Very intimidating, and it doesn't help that his makeup looks goofy. I think they were trying to go for kind of a Skeletor look, but he always looks like he's about to, pass gas. It's very funny. So, Ashley Banks is this magic witch. She summons this demon to basically exorcise him and send him to hell, which confused me. You summon a demon out of hell to kill it and send it back to hell. Yeah, that makes sense. The first of many Emperor Palpatine knockoffs. Yeah, we got a few more down here. This villain looks like Emperor Palpatine, which, honestly, Palpatine actually is creepy, but the cheap Are You Afraid of the Dark makeup did not hold up well, and this villain is kind of off-screen for most of his episode. It's about these two brothers living in this haunted house. They find Ashley Banks' twin sister, who's also a mage, and basically exorcise him all over again and avenge the death of her twin sister, and this demon is anticlimactically punk-killed with a spell. Yeah, he sucks. The Tale of the Quicksilver sucks, and his Emperor Palpatine look only made me laugh. Quicksilver Demon sucks. He belongs down here. He makes Ralph Boner look like a better Quicksilver. He looked kind of like Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time. The Quicksilver Demon is weak. Totally agree. Oh, the Burden Beast from the Forever game. Yeah, I think this is him. Alright, you want to talk about him. Quicksilver Demon doesn't have any Quicksilver metal powers or Quicksilver super speed. No, he does not. He just writes Q everywhere and moves the furniture. Very threatening. Alright, I think this is the beast you're talking about. The monster from the Tale of the Forever game. Who, gonna put on meh. For one, I don't like the Forever game, and two, we barely see the monster. This is basically a beast from the Forever game. It's the villain that's attacking the kid's sister and the idiot bully brother's best friend. Basically, they're trapped in the Forever game, and this is kind of their boss fight. We catch glimpses of him. If you can't tell, he's supposed to be like a demon pig man kind of thing, and it goes by so fast I could barely tell what he looked like. He's there and basically does his job as kind of an obstacle in the game, where the sister and the idiot best friend try to outsmart him and outmaneuver him, and eventually win the Forever game. Yeah, he has a cool design, but deserved a better episode. Can you do the Court of Masked Men? You really want us to do that? Okay. I think that one has a scarier Peter Pan than a horror movie version. Never watched that from the childhood horror verse. Yeah. Okay, Forever Game, basically just an NPC villain. I like his design, but the episode not very good, and we don't really fully see him. He's kind of a minion to the gamers, and yeah, we'll put him on meh. Alright, you want the Tale of the Wisdom Glass, people. Wisdom Glass, surprise, going on to worst. Yeah, I hate the Tale of the Wisdom Glass. Some people actually say it's overrated. No, I think it's deserving to be hated. It is hated. And a lot of that stems from the villains. Basically, two guys who have this odd friendship, one's rich, one's poor, get invited to this magical video game tournament where it's really this secret kingdom of these glitchy NPCs known as the Wisdom Glass Court. There's a jester, there's a fairy woman, and as you can see, there's this weird demon judge. Basically, they accidentally run afoul of this community, and the rich kid throws his poor friend under the bus and leaves him to take the fall, where they sentence him to death, and the rich boy has a change of heart, goes back to save him by busting him out of the Wisdom Glass dungeon, and they get into these weird, wacky hijinks. It is a total mind screw of an episode, a very bad one too, and the Wisdom Glass people are so goofy, and you can't really tell when they're supposed to be serious and when they're supposed to be funny. It has a lot of mood whiplash. Yes and no, it's more of the game itself that's the villain. Okay. Oh boy, the vampire neighbors are in this list. Oh joy, not a fan of that one either. He's basically the muscle for the real villain of the story, and the other kid. Yeah, basically the weird Keanu Reeves kid was doing the Forever Game. Like his Diet Ganon or Piglet from Blood and Honey 2. The judgment of catastrophe must be carried out. Like with Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark had a terrible judge court-like villain. I sense both being guilty of being garbage. Guilty, ha, guilty. They tried to kill the kids. Yeah, they do, and it was for a really goofy, small offense. Basically, they try to execute the kids. The kids escape and destroy the Wisdom Glass, which pretty much dooms their society. However, in the twist ending, we find out that the butler was actually a monster too, and he takes the kids back to be killed, teaching kids a god-awful lesson to never go back and save your friends and just save yourself, because if he abandoned his best friend, he would have gotten out alive, so going back and saving him, doing the right thing, got him killed. Yeah. Not a fan of the Wisdom Glass. That is easily on my top 5 worst episodes, and the villains definitely deserving to be mentioned as bad. They are F tier. I do not get them. They're not funny, they're not scary, and the episode is a total mind screw and teaches a really bad lesson on par with Don't Go to Sleep. Wisdom Glass is the Don't Go to Sleep of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and just like that episode, the judge is a terrible clown. Guilty. Like why I feel bad trying to be the Rising of the Shield hero, but less accusing. I remember that from that Goosebumps Don't Go to Sleep episode. Well, we did do a review on that recently, Connor. Did that with Blacksmith Orange, so that's still fresh in memory. Anyways, Wisdom Glass, it shatters. It's shat. Don't like it. Alright, you want to talk about a positive monster for a change? Let's talk about the Hatching Monster, the alien queen of the lizard people. Going on to favorites. So, this one's a bit hard to tell because Are You Afraid of the Dark kept it partially shadowed, but this is a giant alien lizard who runs a super duper perfect school, which is actually brainwashing the kids into being slaves, helping fertilize the alien eggs, which they will spread across the world for a secret invasion. And the hatching monster is this giant alien lizard queen who lives under a dungeon in the school. Basically, kids who don't get with the program or prove to be too much trouble are fed to this giant lizard. So I guess it wouldn't be wise to recommend Wisdom Glass. Nope, I recommend throwing it in the trash. The hatching queen is S tier. Yep, she is. She is up there. She is creepy. She is cool. Technically, her minions do a lot of the work because it's basically a giant effect. But yeah, really cool. The hatching lizard people are so frightening and so disgusting and really cool. I love the tale of the hatching. It is an underrated horror episode. Awesome villains, reptile-like villains in secret using brainwashing and kid slaves to help the queen carry out her plan on the invasion. The hatching versus the perfect school. Oh, that is a hard one. I might have to go with the hatching because they can actually eat their enemies, while the clone got beat up by a normal kid. Anyways, yeah, basically, the Lizard Queen lives under the school. Two kids who are troublemakers slowly learn what the school is actually doing, what they really are, and that the faculty are all aliens. They get captured and thrown to this Lizard Queen, where, in the most awesome climax, they defeat them with the power of rock. Yeah, it turns out rock music is poison to these lizard people and blows them up Mars Attack style. And the Lizard Queen gets an awesome death where they blow this giant reptile up. Basically, its head blows up and oozes slime thanks to the power of rock. And the lizard people all die horribly. And they free the kids, break the brainwashing, and save the school, basically. Yeah, it is an awesome death scene. We do see one egg is still alive and it's hatching, implying a new queen is on the rise, but a sequel never happened. Anyways, the Lizard Queen, S tier. It is cool. It is creepy. It is Are You Afraid of the Dark's highest budget episode ever, and you can really tell, and love that it dies from the power of rock. I'm surprised people didn't tell me how good this episode was, because the Lizard Queen totally rocks. She is wicked. The hatching is the perfect school of goosebumps. Exactly. Forget the power of friendship. Let's finish her with the power of rock. Like the hatchling is a Godzilla's mother. Not quite his same size. It is a big monster, but more basilisk size than a kaiju. Anyways, this monster rocks, putting her on favorites. Alright, gotta use the restroom for the first time, so feel free to vote on which monster you'd like to see next. Got a lot going on still, so I'll be right back. Cast your vote. See you soon. Alright, I'm back. Midnight Society. What did you vote for? The Conductor, the Gargoyle, the Pool Zombie, Headless Horseman. Wow, votes are all over the place. So, you would say the Lizard Queen is as good as a hard-boiled egg? Yes, I would, Ira. Wow, votes are all over the place. Alright. Alright, let's see, alright, we'll get the Gargoyle out of the way first, because this one is a bad monster. Yeah, we're putting it on worst. This is the Dangerous Soup Gargoyle, which, I kid you not, is actually a lawn ornament the producers bought. You can actually buy this thing on Amazon right now as we speak. This is the Dangerous Soup Gargoyle. Dr. Vink uses this thing to scare children so he can feast on their fears and make soup out of it. Yeah, basically, this thing is kind of an artifact of doom. It's implied to be alive, and there's this god-awful CGI shot of it coming to life and flying out, which looks hilariously fake. Basically, this thing is scaring people with their worst nightmares, kind of Scarecrow style, and Neve Campbell from Scream actually defeats this thing and kills it, but Dr. Vink traps them in his laboratory for a new experiment, and yeah, the gargoyle sucks. It sucks. It's not scary. It looks really cheap, and the CGI they use to make it fly and move, oh boy, it definitely dated. I do not like this thing. Dangerous Soup, the episode as a whole is enjoyable, but this character is easily one of the lamest. Yeah, it doesn't do much. It gives people's fears, but so does Fear in the Haunting Hour and Freddy, and they were a million times better. Fully agree, Shadowlink. Oh no, the gargoyle. I want Frank Gorshin. We are the defenders of the night. We are gargoyles. Gargoyle tier list. Make it happen. Disney Gargoyles is darker than the Dangerous Soup gargoyle monster. It is. The gargoyle sucks, one of the worst villains by far, because it doesn't do anything. It's an object. It doesn't even talk, and when it comes to life, it looks hilariously fake. Yeah, we're putting it on worse. Dr. Vink saved that episode. Also, Neve Campbell. Neve Campbell is in the Dangerous Soup episode, so see what Sidney Prescott was like in her youth. Alright, Crimson Clown. Surprise! The clown... Going on to favorites. Yeah, the Crimson Clown I have grown to like. We are ranking them on the villains and character they had, so Crimson Clown episode, not one of my favorites, but the villain is easily the most iconic part. You rotten kid. Yeah, Crimson Clown, very creepy villain, very unsettling. Such a simplistic design, it looks like emo Jack in the Box, but kind of funny too. Crimson Clown basically scares kids straight. It's a tormentor of bad kids. We follow DW from Arthur, who's basically a troublemaking brat who runs afoul of everything and causes mischief. However, his big brother tries to scare him with the tale of the Crimson Clown. Basically, a clown who attacks bad kids and scares them straight. If they don't behave, then he might kill them. Yeah, basically, Crimson Clown is a total boogeyman who's haunting DW and basically scaring them into being a good kid, not doing bad things, because the clown mocks how, oh, if you're bad, no one's coming to help you, Sam, because nobody likes you. And what makes the Crimson Clown super scary is each time the kid acts bad, he grows bigger. He gets bigger and bigger and bigger all the time until he's literally a kaiju in the final scare. The clown at first, if you can't tell, it's a doll. It appears as like a little cutesy doll at an antique store. The boy buys it and scares his brother Sam with it. And as the episode goes on, we slowly see the doll gets bigger, becomes human-sized, has like these giant death balloon heads, is following DW and scaring him in the dark, haunting his nightmares basically, and becomes a giant kaiju in the end, where we get that cool arm extension, like that weird Pennywise kind of look. He almost like chokes Sam to death, and absolutely creepy. This villain is definitely iconic. I can see why people love this episode, because the villain is the best part of it. No one wants to help you, Sam. Nobody wants to. Crimson Clown, yes, I remember this villain. Fear Never Knocks is a better episode. Yeah, I do agree. Fear Never Knocks, better than The Tale of the Dangerous Soup by far. But Dangerous Soup did have Sidney Prescott. Like Catnap from Poppy Playtime is better. Like Giant Cat, that goes Fear Gas is better. Crimson Clown is pure S tier, fully agree. Fear Never Knocks is a better episode than the Gargoyle. It is. I remember the Crimson Clown was sold in Amazon by the King Sumi who explains it. So is the Crimson Clown technically a good guy? Well, it's implied he might kill and eat Sam. But nothing precise. Basically kind of an anti-hero slash anti-villain type of character. He's doing pretty bad and horrifying things, basically threatening Sam into becoming good, and it's implied he would have killed him, but of course DW is finally scared straight because being attacked by a kaiju clown is nightmare-inducing, and DW goes straight, and we get kind of a vague, ambiguous ending of the doll watching him, leaving it up in the air if the clown was actually alive and haunting him, or if it was all just a dream and he was realizing the error of his ways, or is the Crimson Clown still gonna keep watch over him? That kind of ending. I would say he's more of the good guy, though. The final act of the Crimson Clown goes full Gigantamax Dynamax from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Maybe Crimson Clown was one of the toys from What's New Scooby-Doo, Living Toy, the deleted scenes, Viacom, alright, whatever. Yeah, Crimson Clown, he rocks. He is great. He is an icon. He is S tier. He is the best clown around alongside Zebo. And far scarier than the Ghastly Griner because we actually see him change as the episode goes on. He's evolving. Crimson Clown, he rocks. He's cool. Love this clown. He steals the show. And he is the best part of that episode. Alright. Somebody wanted the pool zombie, but I might save him for last, but we'll talk about Frank Gorshin, brother Septimus from the Tale of the Carved Stone. Oh, how it pains me to say this, but Frank Gorshin, going on to meh. The Tale of the Carved Stone is a time travel episode. And you know how I feel about those. Basically, a little girl buys a magic stone from Sardo's shop, and the stone is actually a time stone. It's also an infinity stone. However, this bad guy, played by the Riddler himself, Frank Gorshin, is also after this stone because he wants the power of time. It's the Infinity Stone, the time travel one. He wants to use it to go back in time so he can alter events in his favor. And Frank Gorshin is kind of this knockoff Freddy Krueger. He has like claws for hands. He's wearing a creepy hat, wearing creepy kind of robes and a sweater and all that. Basically, he wants the carved stone. However, the little girl uses it to time travel and meets this boy from the past who used to live in her mansion. And they form an odd friendship slash romance until Frank Gorshin comes in, and it turns into kind of a Scooby-Doo chase across time portals. They're like hopping into the present, hopping into the past, going further into the past, further into the future. They rope Sardo into their chase, because of course they do, and Frank Gorshin is kind of there basically stalking them, trying to attack them. Gorshin, he's a good actor, of course he is. He's one of the best Riddlers of all time. He definitely gave his all for this performance, but the villain is kind of a mess. They don't explain him very well, and I don't even know what he wants to do with the Time Stone. They imply he's like a cult leader or something, has a really creepy appearance, but doesn't do all that much. Frank Gorshin, you're awesome, but Septimus, not one of your best roles. At least he had fun. Yeah, he's definitely a fun, goofy, over-the-top villain, but Septimus is kind of a generic Doomsday villain. He wants to use the stone to take over the world, but we don't learn how. He's basically chasing the kids and showing off his cool Freddy claws and making wisecracks. It's that kind of monster. Frank Gorshin is a meh. Yeah, his Riddler would be S tier, but his Are You Afraid of the Dark monster? Kind of forgettable, not gonna lie. This is kind of a weak villain. I have a good feeling where Pool Boy is going. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be high up. No one will help you, Sam. Just catching up on comments. I'd rather see this cringe than Miraculous World London. Like, why not go back to the time of Jack the Ripper as a kid? A brand new reality. I guess I'll see you around. So, if you don't know, basically this villain is trapped in like a time loop or something. They defeat Frank Gorshin. They set all the events right, and the little boy and the girl became friends, where the little boy left a message for the future for the little girl, and she and Sardo find it, where it's kind of a bittersweet, tragic romance. They were like star-crossed lovers, and he said his final farewell in a really cute, wholesome ending, but The episode, not super good, and Frank Gorshin's villain, kind of forgettable, honestly. Not one of the best Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters, so we'll stick him on meh. Better luck next time. Alright, let's talk positive for a change. Let's talk about, here he is, Ray Lawson. Come aboard my train, little boy, from the Train Magic. Going on to favorites. Yeah, we'll put him under the Lizard Queen. Okay. Ray Lawson, Train Magic, underrated episode, underrated villain. Ray Lawson is played by the creepy shopkeeper from the Haunted Mask arc and did a really good job. This might be one of the most underrated evil villains the show ever had. No one will help you, Sam. Ray Lawson, aka the Conductor. Oh boy, he's S tier. Yeah, I actually really liked the Train Magic. I was surprised how great it was, and the villain, easily the most creepy and evil guy on this list. Basically, the Conductor is this ghost conductor trapped aboard a soul train. The soul train is basically a limbo dimension. Ray Lawson was kind of a lazy slacker in life, took his job completely for granted, and one day he made a mistake which costed him and everyone on board his train their life. He was supposed to make a train switch move and didn't do that. The train derailed and crashed, and it killed everyone on board. So now they're all ghosts trapped on a ghost train who can't find peace. And Ray Lawson, this is basically his punishment. Lawson is able to leave the train, and he basically manipulates and toys with this tragic, depressed little boy. This little boy lost his father. His father was also a train conductor, and Ray Lawson, in a completely disgusting and evil manipulation, tries to convince the boy to swap places with him. He tells him, oh, you could be a conductor like me. Don't you want to ride the rails forever? See your daddy? And basically trying to guide this kid into being trapped on the ghost train in his place. Ray Lawson was the one who screwed up and costed everyone their lives, and he's swallowing in this depressed, possibly suicidal boy, manipulating him into dying in his place aboard the train and becoming the new conductor while he escapes and is free from his afterlife punishment. And yeah, if that doesn't scream evil, I don't know what will. Train Magic, underrated episode, really wholesome, learning to let go, appreciate life. It's sad that you lost your loved ones, but they would want you to live kind of lesson. And Ray Lawson basically preying on this emotionally vulnerable child is one of the most evil villains ever. He is definitely a monster in my eyes, and he belongs in the S tier. Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper. Train Magic, absolutely underrated. This and Ray Lawson needs more love. Yeah, Ray Lawson, he's great. Which I didn't even know until I watched your videos, and I'm usually really good at recognizing actors. Yeah, this is the shopkeeper from Carly Beth's Haunted Mask Tales. I know, hard to recognize him because he looks a lot older here than he did on Goosebumps. But yeah, Ray Lawson, creepy ghost conductor. He's a spooky ghost riding the rails. He's on a ghost train. He lures in like the boy's mentor figure Cap, lures him on board the train and holds him hostage to basically force the little boy to give in to his demands and surrender his soul. And speaking of which, this villain also gets one of the most satisfying, well-deserved comeuppance at the end of the story. Little boy boards the train once more to save his friend Cap. Ray Lawson gives him the keys and passes on the train to him. However, the little boy outsmarts him, and they do what Ray Lawson didn't do, his job. His brother in the mortal world does the right thing and switches the train switch for the ghost train after Ray Lawson quit being conductor, which frees the boy, frees Cap, and all the souls that were trapped on board finally make it to the right station, except for Ray Lawson, because by surrendering the train, he was no longer on board it when they set right what once was wrong. And the ghost conductor gets his satisfying comeuppance where now he's bound to the train tracks, wandering alone, without a train, without anyone, forced to walk forever. Ray Lawson is now bound to the train tracks itself and lost, finding himself as a new punishment, basically for his screw up, and very satisfying and well deserved. He was manipulating a suicidal little boy to die in his place, so very satisfying that he's stuck and has to walk the rails forever for the rest of his afterlife, basically. Yeah, he's stuck that way and totally well deserved. Ray Lawson, definitely underrated villain. Evil, wicked, smart, and underrated. Ray Lawson is definitely a wicked writer. I can't believe Ray Lawson killed a bunch of people in the train by his accident. Yeah, basically, he tried to weasel out of it. He was a slacker at work and kind of paid the price for it. A classic reap what you sow kind of tale. Well, the TV show version of the shopkeeper is more of an anti-hero / anti-villain, so yeah, he's much nicer in the Haunted Mask story than he was in the book. In the book, he completely sold the mask to Carly Beth once she gave him money. Yeah, Ray Lawson, underrated. He's on favorites. Alright. Let's talk about Digger, the evil Neopet, who's also going on to worst. I might put him under Captain Cutter because, yeah, this villain's bad. This is the villain from The Tale of the Virtual Pets, Digger. This AI on like a Neopets type of computer game. This is when Are You Afraid of the Dark was trying to milk the popularity of Neopets back then. No, not this one. Yeah. My theory is Ray Lawson became the shopkeeper by possessing a man's body. That would be pretty funny. I hate AI Neopets villain. Yeah, he sucks. This is Digger. Basically, this AI is feeding off of children's brainwaves. He's a dog that needs to be constantly fed, and he's eating basically the children's minds. It's a metaphor for how video games rot your brain and make you stupid. And yeah, really stupid villain, really stupid episode, and unfortunately very dated too, because the Neopets are not very popular anymore. So yeah, Digger, he sucks. He is a bad dog, and he might actually be worse than Reboot Captain Cutter, because his episode was one of the worst in the series. Kat, what's your opinion of the acting of the train conductor and the shopkeeper? I said this in my reviews. I think he's good. I think he's a pretty good actor. Very fun, very underrated. He captures both a villain and a tragic soul very well. Definitely a good actor. Basically, Megan if she was a dog. Yeah, but Megan was actually cool. Digger, more like shitter. Oh. For the worst one, the genie should be on it, even above the stone gargoyle. Cat put a dog in a low tier list. Shocker. JK, can't argue. Yeah, what a shock. A cat doesn't like a dog. Yeah, this is a bad dog. He's going on worst. And speaking of worst, let's talk about Belle. Belle, I'm going to put her under the Phantom Virus, because the Phantom Virus actually had funny moments. Belle, the evil genie, yep, she sucks. The Tale of the Time Trap, which ironically has nothing to do with time. Yeah, how weird. So many time travel episodes, and the one that has time in the title didn't make it in. Belle is a magic genie. A kid goes to Sardo's shop and buys a cursed artifact, and the artifact is a genie bottle, or a box, which has Belle, who's a total bitch who likes screwing with the guy and corrupts his magic wishes on purpose. He tries to wish to become popular. She humiliates him. He wishes for a girlfriend. She pretends she's the girlfriend and humiliates him, and yeah, basically, all the wishes backfire on purpose, and we find out Belle is a total bitch who's just screwing with him. The kid's version of Wishmaster, yeah, except Wishmaster was actually good. Why does Belle look like a fashionista MLP G4 character? Photo finish, almost. My wish is this episode didn't exist. Yeah, sucks. I can't believe Are You Afraid of the Dark tried to do a Neopets episode, but it failed at the end, and it sucks. Yeah, that one was one of the worst of the series, and Time Trap, also one of the worst. I say before Shanty is better than the Time Trap genie. Yeah, basically she screws with him, and we find out her wish was to get set free from her genie duties. And halfway, like, near the end of the climax, after, like, cops are after the kid and the world's falling apart, she escapes and basically, I guess, goes off to be a party girl or something. I don't know where she's gonna go or what she gets from escaping the box, but yeah, she tricks Sardo into swapping places with her, and is anticlimactically defeated because, oh, doy, you could just use Sardo to use his magic wish to make his wish come true of never meeting Belle. And yeah, basically she defeated herself because, big shock, replacing someone else as the genie would allow them to use magic to stop you. Yeah, Belle sucks. Belle sucks. This is the worst monster ever. I hate Belle. I hate the time trap. One of the worst reboot episodes ever, and easily one of Sardo's worst episodes too. Belle, she sucks. I wish for a better episode. Alright. Somebody wanted the Headless Horseman. So, Headless Horseman, gonna go on to meh. I am not a fan of the Tale of the Midnight Ride, mostly because it's kind of boring, and I do think Are You Afraid of the Dark's cheap effects really held it back. Basically, this is the Headless Horseman in modern day. A kid moves into basically a Sleepy Hollow high school, and they reenact the Ichabod Crane story, but with kids and in a modern setting. And the Headless Horseman comes to life and basically chases not Ichabod Crane down, and is kind of fulfilling the same villain purpose in that. And yeah, I honestly don't think it's a good episode, mainly because a lot of the effects suck, the CGI to bring the rider to life, and the costume is not very good. He just wears a pumpkin head over a night suit. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, much better. I believe this was trying to capitalize on that before Tim Burton's movie hit theaters, but yeah, it's kind of a lame episode, and the villain is not fully utilized. There's way too much focus on the teen drama. That's why I didn't like Midnight Madness. There's way too much about a love triangle. The Ichabod Crane kid is competing with this jock for the hot popular girl, and yeah, I know it's supposed to be like the Ichabod Crane story because he also had a love triangle in that. It's not a very good episode, and the villain is unfortunately barely part of it. Who's better, Clarissa or Belle? Clarissa easily. Fully agree. Clarissa's better because she actually got a wish right in the end by killing the idiot bully. Sigh. Yeah, this Headless Horseman sucks. He's kind of not present for most of the episode, and not all that creepy either. I'm sorry, the Headless Horseman episode, I was looking forward to it, but kind of a disappointment. It's not that good of an episode, and the Horseman easily overshadowed. They defeat the Horseman kind of the exact same way, completing the story, basically. Like Jeannie is better since she meets Scooby-Doo, and even Daphne Blake dressed like her. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Why does Digger look like a green version of Scrappy-Doo from the movie? Lazy effects. They look like dogs, so I guess they were passable. And sadly, it had to be last never said, but I heard his reboot appearance wasn't the same actor, so I wouldn't count it if that's true. Oh, you're talking about Sardo? Yeah, Sardo is in the reboot. They did get the original guy. He plays Sardo's, like, ancestor. We meet Sardo Jr. for the Shadowman, but yeah, he was technically in it. Lala is a better Headless Horsewoman. Yeah, she is. And no death scene. Digger is a weird AI pet, like Nightmare Critters is cool, like they had a dragon plush that attack you. Okay, so yeah, Headless Horseman definitely needs a better head on his shoulders. Okay, let's do something a bit more positive. Let's talk about Quan Chi. Yeah, Quan Chi from The Tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, going on to terrifying. I think this villain is definitely decent, a bit underrated. The Sorcerer's Apprentice, if you don't know, basically this loser outcast kid gets his hands on a cursed artifact, and he can use it to get revenge on the people who rejected him. Basically gets back at his school, kind of almost calling out creep style, but the kid actually has friends who win him over. This is the sorcerer who's corrupting the loser kid, who's going to use him as his vessel to basically free him and take over the world. Of course, he kind of looks like Quan Chi from Mortal Kombat, which I do find absolutely hilarious. Basically, Quan Chi is being summoned through using the school's pool as like a portal, and he brainwashed like the jocks and some of the jerks who picked on him, basically makes them into servants in a cult, and they're going to bring Quan Chi back from the dead. However, the kid's one and true friend helps free him, and Quan Chi is sent back through the portal before he can even do much. Beware the cult of Goth. Yeah, that was his name, Goth. Hey, Jon Snow, you made it. Don't worry, we got plenty of villains to talk about still. We're on the Sorcerer from the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I did find this guy pretty scary. I think the Sorcerer's Apprentice was a good episode, and I could see people being afraid of this guy. Not one of the best faces, but what can I say? I like how Goth looks like Quan Chi. And no Death Seed. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of modern Sleepy Hollow knockoffs either. That episode might as well use the Ichabod Crane descendant trope. Yeah, I respect your opinion, but I actually kind of like Sardo, sorry. That's fine. I don't have a problem if you like something I hate. I just don't really get Sardo. I liked 2 episodes from him. I was actually excited to see him come back in Curse of the Shadowman, since Sardo is a staple for Are You Afraid of the Dark, but me... the problem is, I just don't find him funny. I find him more annoying, and I really hate it when he's useless to the plot. Like, they just brought him in for comic relief, but he doesn't say or do anything funny. Like, how did they get Quan Chi without getting sued by Mortal Kombat? I don't think Quan Chi actually existed yet. Unless Defenders of the Realm was on around this time, Quan Chi was made a lot later in the classic Mortal Kombat games. And Are You Afraid of the Dark? This episode came out like in 1991, so they might have beat them by a year. Also, he has a Jafar snake cane. Yeah, that was his cane. It looked like a cobra. Basically, they defeat the sorcerer, but we find out that the museum curator was also evil and coming back. But yeah, I think he's pretty cool. The sorcerer is definitely a terrifying force of nature. Alright, gonna use the restroom again. So you guys cast your vote on who you want to see next. Really narrowed it down too. Got a lot out of the way, but cast your vote on who you want to see next. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. For a good entry, Badge. For a bad entry, Kronos. The Fire Ghost. Mr. Click from Zombie Dice is not on here. I'm sorry, but apparently they did not add him on here. Which sucks because Mr. Click, if you're wondering, he would have been S tier. He would have been S tier. Zombie Dice is underrated, just like Train Magic. But yeah, not on the list. The Pool Zombie. Everyone wants the Pool Zombie, but I want to save a good one for last. But alright, we'll talk about the Pool Zombie. We still got some good monsters here. Pool Zombie from the Tale of the Dead Man's Float. Going on to favorites. Yep, I watched the Tale of the Dead Man's Float and fully agree it is one of the top 5 best episodes ever, and it's held up supremely well thanks to its monster. Basically, the pool monster is a zombie who haunts a secret high school swimming pool. This pool was shut down long ago because this off-screen monster drowned a bunch of kids. The pool monster has a high body count, basically. It murdered a kid in the opening, and we actually do see it. So, it murdered a bunch of people, the pool was shut down, we find out this swimming pool was closed because the school was built on top of a cemetery. They moved the headstones, but they didn't move the bodies, poltergeist style, exactly. Yeah, basically, they didn't move the bodies under there, and the pool zombie was a corpse that was left behind during the cemetery's movement before the school built its pool over it. Basically, its final resting place was disturbed by the swimming pool, and it comes out through the pool, basically drowning anyone swimming there, and because it's a high school, many of the victims are kids. It fully kills kids. Years later, the main character Zeke and one of the popular girls reopened the swimming pool because it's a big Olympic-sized swimming pool, and the school could greatly benefit from it. They reopened the swimming pool, however, it disturbs the resting place of the pool monster, who rises out of the swimming pool to terrorize the kids, and basically the episode is getting rid of it, basically, finding a way to defeat this monster before it kills again. No surprise there, excellent villain. Yeah, S tier, Pool Zombie is one of the best episodes, it is. The episode preys on the unknown and the dangers of getting drowned. Yeah, it is a very creepy episode, especially because this thing has actually succeeded at killing several characters, including a little boy in the opening. So yeah, the pool monster is not a light threat, and it has a really gruesome design. I know it's hard to tell, but basically it's kind of a decaying skeleton covered in like flesh and organs. I believe Zeke used like chemicals to make its physical form more noticeable. He like doused like red food coloring in the water, and we see it rise where it looks all bloody like a gross mess, and yeah, it is traumatizing. This thing looks creepy as hell, and it basically attacks people, tries to kill Zeke and the popular girl. They eventually defeat it with chlorine. Yeah, I kid you not. Apparently, they made like this super chlorine chemical because Zeke's a nerd. The girl and he kind of fall in love during this adventure, and basically, they go into the swimming pool and they have to douse the monster in it, but it requires them, you know, getting close to the monster, who is scary and very gross. So yeah, the girl goes in the pool, Zeke becomes a man and saves his woman, and they douse it in chlorine, which completely destroys it really gruesomely by rapidly decaying him, and the pool monster actually does melt. Yeah, really cool episode, really cool monster, and yeah, this scared kids for life. Kids were traumatized by this thing. It is arguably the real mascot of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yes, Ira, it is better than the Ghastly Griner because this thing, look at it. It looks creepy. It acts creepy. It doesn't even talk, but its presence definitely says a lot. I was scared by the commercial promo. Never saw it because I didn't grow up with that. Pool monster, more like frickin' pool zombie with frickin' laser beams. Feels like a live-action Zombie Island zombie ghost. Yeah, it does. That's what made it really scary. Like he has no origins, and my theory is ancient pirate corpse that was forgotten and have revenge. Well, basically, there is a slight backstory. It was basically buried in a cemetery the school built the pool over. But they moved the headstones, but they didn't move the bodies, poltergeist style, and yeah, basically they disturbed its final resting place, and it's getting revenge by going on a killing spree because it sees the people swimming and partying in the pool above it as disgracing its final resting place, basically. Killing people in bloodthirsty revenge, but clearly more of a monster that needs to be stopped. The pool zombie is a monster you might see in a horror movie. Fully agree there, Chip. It is definitely an iconic monster. Feels like a 90s G, rated 90s G, yeah. It inspired a pool-themed horror movie I came up with. Didn't it also inspire that terrible A24 Night Swim movie? Yeah, I think Night Swim tried to copy this Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. And understandably, it did not do very well because Are You Afraid of the Dark was much better. But yeah, this pool monster, definitely a worthy tale of C. It goes on S tier. Might be number 1, but we'll see if any eclipse him. Alright, we talked about a good, so we'll talk about a bad, then get another good one. Alright, let's talk about Kronos, the Guardian of Oblivion, going on to worst. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this guy either. The Tale of Oblivion is not at all one of the good reboot episodes. Basically, this guy is an old Viking conqueror who lives in the Oblivion. It's a pocket dimension where anything that's drawn and erased by these magic paintbrushes from Sardo's shop ends up in this kind of purgatory pocket dimension. And he was trapped here where the kids end up getting trapped in the Oblivion along with Sardo, where this guy tries to kill them. Yeah, no explanation why, no explanation how the hell he's even alive, and he's apparently been in the Oblivion for 1,000 years based on his Viking armor, and yeah, it's not a good episode, and the villain does not make any sense. Kronos, the Guardian of Oblivion, yeah. Don't mention that abysmal Night Swim. Better than the Night Swim movie? Bro, Night Swim was boring. It had a cool setup, but it was boring and lame. And yeah, Are You Afraid of the Dark definitely outclassed it in every way. And Kronos, not a very good villain. Basically, he's the guardian of the Oblivion, and he tries to kill these people even though they have no way escaping the Oblivion and are no harm to his rule. Yeah. He sucks. He sucks. Tale of the Oblivion sucks, and surprise, they defeat him by getting out of the Oblivion. It's not a good episode. It is very confusing, poorly thought out, and the villain honestly could have been deleted, and it wouldn't have changed a thing. Terrible villain, terrible episode. Yeah, fully agree. So let's talk about something good. Somebody wanted the Fire Ghost, aka Leon Kennedy, from the Tale of the Fire Ghost. Going on to Terrifying. Yeah, almost makes it to favorites, but his design left a lot to be desired. Basically, this is the monster from the Tale of the Fire Ghost. He's the actual fire ghost. There are 2 ghosts who haunt this fire station. Some kids are left in overnight. Their dad's a firefighter, and he brought them to the station for a family get-together, but the dad is called away on important business, so the kids decide to kick back and hang out in the fire station. However, the fire station is haunted by a fire ghost, and basically, they meet these 2 sketchy, creepy authority figure guys, and you're kind of guessing which one is the fire ghost for at least half the plot. There's this creepy old guy, and then there's this guy who looks like Leon Kennedy, who pretends to be all friendly and reasonable. I love the Fire Ghost. Fire Ghost better than Frozen Ghost. Yeah, that is a fact. Fire Ghost, let's go. What's the equivalent on Count Nightwing? Oh, that might be hard to say. I might say the Vampire Town Vampire Mayor here, but yeah. Anyways, the Fire Ghost, basically, it's a very creepy, atmospheric episode. It's a haunted firehouse station, and basically these 2 sketchy adults are hanging around, and the kids aren't sure who to trust. But it turns out that the grouchy old guy was actually a nice guy. He was the good ghost, and Leon Kennedy was the fire ghost. He's trying to basically finish the job. The fire ghost wants to burn everything in sight, starting with the fire department, because they're the only ones who can stop him. The good ghost was actually a former firefighter who was friends with their dad who died on the job, and he's helping save the kids and kind of atoning for his past sins. Basically, finishing his unfinished business and killing the fire ghost. The fire ghost tries burning down the fire station. We see him briefly turn into the Human Torch. It kind of a sketchy, iffy effect. It looks pretty cool in concept, but in motion, the effects look very bizarre. He turns into the Human Torch, and they anticlimactically stop him with the sprinkler system and put the Fire Ghost out, killing him. Fire Ghost, I did find very creepy. The guy playing it has really gruesome looking makeup. He looks like a burn victim, covered in ash, looks like he survived a fire, and his final form is like the Human Torch. Like Fire Ghost male, but no Water Ghost girl. You really want Flo, Akira. Ooh, I'm a spooky fire ghost and I'm on fire. Yeah, basically he's kind of an elemental monster. He's a living embodiment of fire, but he takes the shape of Leon Kennedy. Not sure why. He's not an actual living person, but yeah, he looks like Leon Kennedy until he turns into his fire form. And they basically put him out firefighter style and he dies. And the kids gain a newfound respect for their dad's job and help the good fireman ghost rest in peace. Fire Ghost, really good episode. I remember giving it a good gold skull, and the monster definitely creepy. He is a very terrifying monster, basically an living elemental pyromaniac type of monster. He's pretty scary. We'll put him on terrifying. Alright, so you know who's not terrifying? How about a little fire scarecrow? The Silent Servant going on to meh. I was so looking forward to the Are You Afraid of the Dark spooky scarecrow episode. This is the Silent Servant, who is kind of a golem-esque monster, basically the supernatural scarecrow, who will do anything you command as long as you write it like on a piece of paper and stuff it in his straw body. Then he'll do that command for the wielder, for the wisher, basically. However, if you're not clear on your wish, then he does something evil or screws up the wish and might hurt people. Silent Servant, letdown. It is a total letdown villain. Like all we need is a water ghost and an earth ghost and an air ghost. Hey, we had fire and frozen. Yeah, that counts. Silent Servant, we don't really see the scarecrow moving on screen. It is a total Jaws kind of story. We don't see the scarecrow walking and moving until the very end. A lot of what he does is off screen, which is supposed to make him scarier, but it made the episode very boring and slow, and the child acting is not very good. Silent Servant, we don't see him move till the end, where one of the kids accidentally wishes the Scarecrow would make their dad, like, understand him, and the Silent Servant tries to kill their dad. Basically, we see the Scarecrow slowly coming after the dad, finally moving on camera, and they anticlimactically destroy the magic, keeping him alive, and he falls over and dies before the dad ever notices any supernatural antics. Yeah, it is a letdown. It is not a very good villain. This might be my least favorite Scarecrow of all. Definitely outclassed by Goosebumps, Haunting Hour, and even Tales from the Crypt. Definitely disappointing. R.L. Stine delivered Scary Scarecrow's tales better. Sadly, Are You Afraid of the Dark didn't. Yeah, they did not. Another Scarecrow, dude. I thought we faced another Scarecrow from Goosebumps. Scarecrows are very cool monsters, but Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of fumbled the bag on this one. It felt more like a Golem story. Scarecrow Kid horror trend is a thing, but I feel like Weeping Angel's done wrong. Yeah, that kind of was. And the Scarecrow from Goosebumps can summon his army in the cornfield, making the Scarecrow a threat and cool villain. Yeah, he did. This is mostly be careful what you wish for type of story. I see the original owner of the Scarecrow is here too. The one next to Umbra. Oh, that is him. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's the creator of the Silent Servant. Yeah, he'll also go on meh. This is kind of their crazy Stanley type of villain. He's the one who made the Silent Servant. However, he kept the Scarecrow locked up in the barn. He's kind of safeguarding it with his life, making sure no one breaks in and steals it, but epic fails when two kids manage to outsmart him. And kind of not a villain, too, because he helps them break the magic and kill the servant. Yeah, not a very good character. I don't like the Silent Servant episode at all, and the villains are especially weak. Like, Scarecrow walks at midnight have more to attack than the Silent Servant Scarecrow. Yeah, their Silent Servant was more of a be careful what you wish for story. Not a very interesting one either. Alright, let's talk about the kids from Old Man Corcoran going on to meh. These are I believe the ghost kids who play in the cemetery. Old Man Corcoran was an episode I was really looking forward to because it sounded really cool and creepy. A bit of a letdown. Basically, there's this creepy old man named Corcoran who's the gravekeeper of the cemetery, and there's these ghost kids who like playing around in it. Basically, they play hide and seek in the cemetery. These two new kids who move into the neighborhood play with these kids, they play in the cemetery, barely get caught by Old Man Corcoran, and we find out in a twist that the neighborhood children were actually dead ghosts all along. They were making up stories about Old Man Corcoran being the ghost, when really they were actually spirits trying to kill the kids and hiding in the graveyard. We find out in a twist that they were all dead all along, and yeah, kind of meh villains. Basically, they were just trolling the kids, screwing with them, and making up fake stories about Old Man Corcoran. Not exactly grand villain material. Are they really the villains? More like the twist revealed characters. Yeah, that kind of was. They're not fully evil. They were just playing, and they were actually dead all along. Like, feels less like Diet Scooby-Doo. Yeah, the kids, they're meh. Put them on meh, not very scary, and the twist did not frighten me. Alright, getting another bad one out of the way, let's talk about the Umbra, who, going on to the worst, but we'll put him ahead of the rest. The Umbra is a shadow demon who lives on Bigfoot Ridge. Basically, Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, and his sister, they lost one of their friends up here in the ski resort, and we find out there's this shadow demon who's been impersonating their missing friend, the Umbra, a weird darkness monster who lives in the abandoned side of the ski resort. Basically, their best friend is somehow alive and perfectly well. She's a bit older. She's rapidly aged or something. She's been living here in this dark abandoned ski resort, being held hostage by the Umbra monster for years, and apparently she's still alive after never having to eat or drink or go to the bathroom or, have human necessities for years trapped up here. And the Umbra is basically a darkness monster who took her form and is secretly this shadow demon who's trying to hold them hostage. Umbra and Bigfoot Ridge had so much potential, but so many plot holes hold it back. Yeah, that is kind of the thing. This monster does not make any sense and is not really explored. We don't know what this monster even is for the longest time. It's holding the friend hostage and they defeat it with light. It lives in the shadows and it can't stand the light. The Scarecrow episode from Are You Afraid of the Dark could be better if Stanley from Goosebumps made a cameo, just does his magic and summon a frickin' Decepticon, chops down the Scarecrow. Like Bayonetta is better Umbra Witch than the real Umbra. Yeah, this villain, it sucks. It should go back in the shadows. It is a total letdown and full of so many plot holes that do not make any sense. Hayden Christensen was also better on Goosebumps, so yeah, this character sucks. It really sucks. Alright, let's talk about something slightly better. Talk about the Pinball Wizard. Going on to yeah, I know, this Pinball Wizard is a fan favorite episode. It's the classic main character gets trapped in a video game, but the video game is run by the Pinball Wizard, who is controlling the NPCs and their magical gaming world and basically toying with the main character. The main character is trapped in his video game and asks you to defeat him to escape. But we find out in a twist that, nope, he can't escape the game. Now he's just playing it all over again. And kind of confused why it's called Pinball Wizard when it's not a pinball machine. It's like this weird RPG video game. The Pinball Wizard has his moments. He's over the top. He's creepy. Very threatening towards this gamer kid. But he's fighting a bunch of other villains and evil NPCs and minions and all that. So he's not a full presence in the episode. Yeah, weak to light but not fairy type. Yeah. So, Pinball Wizard, I do like him. Got not very creepy, though. He looks like kind of this weird disheveled old man. Very kind of Crypt Keeper-esque. Not a super compelling antagonist, but the episode overall is fun because it's a classic trapped in a video game episode. The villain is definitely just on the okay side though. Alright, but you know who's not okay? The werewolf from the Tale of the Full Moon, who's, surprise, surprise, going on to worst. This is the werewolf neighbor from the Tale of the Full Moon, and tragically, Are You Afraid of the Dark's only werewolf story, and unfortunately, their werewolf sucks. 1 redemption ghost story, 2 redemption ghost stories, 3 redemption ghost stories, 4 redemption ghost stories. Too much crap redemption stories. Yeah, unfortunately, half of Are You Afraid of the Dark series had ghost redemption arcs, and I got really tired of them, and they got a lot lazier as the show went on. The werewolf. Oh boy. Pinball Wizard feels so weird episode with poor planning scenes. The werewolf frickin' sucks. Absolutely. Once again, R.L. Stine does werewolf stories better. Yeah, Werewolf of Fever Swamp and even Werewolf Skins, much better. They were much better scary stories. R.L. Stine knew his monsters well. Unfortunately, Are You Afraid of the Dark did not, and the big reason why, Full Moon is a comedy. It's a dark comedy. The Wolfman is ridiculous. He's goofy. Wears a really cheap-looking mask. It's basically a guy in a suit with a werewolf head mask and, like, I believe 2 paws. He's got, like, his claws. Basically, 2 kids are pet detectives, and they're trying to solve what happened to the disappearance of all the neighborhood pets. They find out they've been eaten by a large predator, and find out that it's a werewolf. The mom is like dating this mysterious new neighbor and they suspect he's a werewolf, and the wolf has actually been eating and killing all these cats and dogs who get lost around the block. They break into his house and they find out in a twist that, oh, the neighbor is not the Wolfman, it's his twin brother. Yeah, apparently he had a twin brother who becomes a werewolf at night, and he's like chained in the basement or something, and they have a Scooby-Doo chase around the house. However, in a twist, we find out the mom was dating the neighbor, and they're getting married, and the werewolf becomes their new uncle pet. Yeah, it is very weird, and so goofy. It's another goofy-ass Are You Afraid of the Dark story. It tries to be funny, and I see what they're going for, but yeah, it is just cringe and really dumb. Basically, they kind of forget that this Wolfman murdered half the pets on their block and they were avenging like dead cats and dogs because now the boy treats his uncle as his pet. Yeah, his uncle is now their pet dog, and they play fetch with a werewolf. It is that kind of story, and yeah, it sucks. It is definitely a lame howl. This is a weak wolf. One of the worst wolves since Nega Wolf. We're putting him on F tier. Twin brother, bruh, this werewolf episode makes no sense. Yeah, where was the twin brother this whole time? He apparently could turn human, but he's a werewolf full-time. Yeah, R.L. Stine does better stories. R.L. Stine does better werewolf episodes than Miraculous, like Thomas Astrug. Okay. Yeah, facepalm, that's appropriate reaction. Like, why the werewolf uncle eat pets instead of meat in the fridge? Yeah, that is weird. They kind of gloss over that he ate a bunch of lost cats and dogs because it's a happy twist ending. Yeah, Wolfman sucks. Worst werewolf since Nega Wolf. Alright, let's talk a little positive. Let's get the photographer from the Tale of the Photo Finish who I will put on like. This is the ghost photographer, basically takes pictures and traps people in the past, and really cool black and white filter. Basically, this dude was like a frat bro haunting his fraternity house, and he traps the main character in the past through his pictures. He takes pictures and literally captures souls in them. It's one of those ancient beliefs where people feared that cameras can capture your soul and you live on through your portraits. He captures the main character in one of these and he's like trapped in the 50s, and there's like a cool black and white filter to show you the past, and basically he tries to basically finish him and prevent him from escaping. I did like this episode, don't remember a whole lot, and hard to say if he was a villain because he does have a tragic backstory and all, but I did like him. A tragic villain, so to speak. Yeah, he was. Hey, Cat, I'm here. Sorry I missed it all. Woke up from my nap. Don't worry, we got plenty of villains to go over still. Photo finish guy, I think he's definitely on the like side. Definitely a sad, tragic villain, and I think they did help break his curse by the end. Yeah, photo finish, pretty solid story, and solid villain. Like this is better than the Haunted School Goosebumps book, never made an episode. Why does the ghost photographer look like Bill Nye the Science Guy? Not sure. He's from the 50s, so that might have been kind of a typical look that boys in the 50s had. Basically, they break his curse and help set him free, and the frat, is all happy and helped him rest in peace. I did think this episode was pretty good. Not an all-star kind of villain, but he's on the like side. Alright, let's talk about I believe these are the water demons. Water demons also going on like. The Tale of the Water Demons, it's an okay story. A lot of people like it because Eddie from Ed, Edd and Eddy stars as the main protagonist. Basically, two brothers work small-time jobs for the sea captain. The sea captain lives in a mansion, and we find out he got his riches by stealing a sunken pirate ship chest. He brought the treasures with him, however, it disturbed the final resting place of the water demons. The water demons are actually people who lived on this ship that he basically he grave robbed them, and are after the sea captain. They rise out of the water to basically try and kill him. However, if he's awake, then they go back and basically die. If he's awake and when sun hits, the water demons can't do jack. And all I can say is there's kind of a big plot hole where why doesn't the sea captain just move in mainland, surrounded in the desert by dry land, but whatever. Wait, really? Yeah, Eddie from Ed, Edd and Eddy is the main protagonist of The Tale of the Water Demons. For those of you who don't know, Tale of the Water Demons, Eddie is the main character, and shock of all shocks, Eddie is also a smart-mouthed, troublemaking, greedy jerk. Basically, he's kind of the troublemaking brother. Eddie is very greedy, and he doesn't understand why the captain just steals these riches and keep the money for himself. They basically teach the value that there's more in life than money, and Eddie kind of goes through a redemption arc. Eddie becomes nicer to his brother. Eddie tries to steal treasure himself, but the water demons take his brother, and Eddie realizes no, he doesn't want his riches, he wants his bro back. There's more to life than money, and he gives the treasure back. They dump it back in the water for the water demons, and the water demons release his baby bro back. And Eddie learns that there's more to life than money, and cherishes his family more. Eddie from Ed, Edd and Eddy is in Are You Afraid of the Dark? Is Matt Hill? No, not him. Tony Sampson, that's who Eddie plays. Nice designs, however, to stop them is pretty simple. Yeah, basically that kind of lost them points. They have these creepy water zombie kind of looks. They're covered in seaweed, look very bloated, and they drowned. And basically to stop them, just give the treasure back. That is the only way to defeat them. They just want their gold back, and the sea captain and Eddie basically dump the treasure back in the water, and that helps them rest in peace. I like them. I did give a silver skull to Eddie's Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, but it is not a must-watch episode. It's a pretty cutesy, good tale, and the water demons are definitely okay monsters. You doing any tier list tomorrow? Yeah, I might. I have a certain category on my mind, but it's not going to be horror related. Better than Polaroid. Yeah, this is kind of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest prequel. Perfect cast, irony. Yeah, Eddie is a greedy jerk in Are You Afraid of the Dark, too. Alright. Let's do Bobcat Goldthwait Sandman from The Tale of the Final Wish, who gonna put on meh. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of The Tale of the Final Wish. Basically, a little girl who's too in love with fairy tales gets dragged into a fairy tale which turns into a nightmare by the hands of the Sandman, played by comedy legend Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait, the loud, obnoxious comedian, is the Sandman, and yeah, he's really goofy and over the top. They were trying to go for kind of like an Uncle Howie type of vibe, where it's this guy trolling her, trying to teach her to grow up and let go of fairy tales, and I did not find him scary, and Bobcat Goldthwait is surprisingly not super funny in this episode. He kind of plays it like dead straight, which really confusing. Final Wish I just found very mean-spirited. It's not one of the worst episodes, but kind of mean because this girl just loves fairy tales and it's trying to teach her to let go of that and grow up and suffers a lot of punishment even though there are worse kids on this show. Yeah, Bobcat was definitely having fun as the Sandman. Wyatt called Bobcat. That's his nickname. They call him Bobcat because he has like a screechy voice. Now all we need is Sunset Shimmer voice actor to be in future Goosebumps episodes. If only. Like, if we get a remake, I want to see Keith David be the Sandman with his Spawn voice. Well, unfortunately, Bobcat Goldthwait goes for a more goofy, over-the-top villain. He's definitely having fun. Basically, he trolls this girl with fairy tales, showing how it's not good. Then he releases her, except, surprise, it's not over yet, and she's still, like, in the dream world because Bobcat is a douche. Not a fan of the Sandman. This episode, basically, kind of a mess mood-wise, but if you like The Final Wish, I can definitely see the appeal, but this Bobcat Goldthwait Sandman, he's no Tom Kenny's Uncle Howie, we'll just say that. Sandman definitely deserved a better, bigger dream. Alright, I gotta go get more water, but you guys feel free to vote. We're on the next 2 rows, so we're making pretty good progress. Cast your vote, I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Let me check your votes. Gotta go, sorry. Bye, Jon Snow. Alright, checking your comments. Vampire neighbors. There's no camera from the curious camera. I don't know, I guess they couldn't find a good picture of him. Doesn't help that the gremlin's kind of a virus type of villain. Alright, we'll bump off the nightly neighbors. Going on to worst. Yeah, I am not at all a fan of the nightly neighbors. A lot of people requested this episode, and I was kind of disappointed by it. Namely, there's one big reason. The whole episode is kind of a fake out. The nightly neighbors are mysterious neighbors who move into the neighborhood, and the main character suspects that they're actually vampires. And he goes on an amateur detective kind of mystery, breaking into their house, trying to find out. He finds evidence which suggests they could be vampires, but nope, they actually weren't, except in the twist ending where, yeah, they were. The son was like sleeping in his coffin, and they were vampires all along. These villains don't really do anything. They kind of do like off-screen villainy, and most of the episode is kind of a ginormous fake out where nothing is happening. He's trying to solve the case only to get disproven, and it repeats that time and time again until the twist where, surprise, they were vampires all along. Yeah, these are definitely weak villains. They're very forgettable too. The Nightly Neighbors is, yeah, it's a lame episode. I would say it's like kind of the Sans of Are You Afraid of the Dark, where both episodes are basically setting up for like this really cool mystery, only to be a ginormous fake out where the twist is obvious it was real all along. Yet Nightly Neighbors sucks. These vampires suck. And speaking of which, we should also dump the mayor of Vampire Town on here too. Yeah, this, if you can't tell, this is the villain of The Tale of the Vampire Town. Also sucks. He's a big fat ripoff of Nosferatu, and he gets killed by a douchey vampire kid. Yeah, out of the 3 vampire tales, only one was actually great, and this one was not. And spoilers, the revival vampire tale wasn't good either. Yep. We got the mayor of Vampire Town on here. He also sucks. He's killed very anticlimactically too, and killed by a douchey vampire kid, Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I swear this kid looks like Neo. He's total like vampire nerd, goes to Vampire Town, finds out that there's real vampires there, and the mayor basically wants to kill him, and he loses badly to like a 12-year-old boy. Yeah, really great villain there. He loses, gets killed by the sunlight, and we find out in a twist that the creepy janitor was also a vampire. Because no duh, it's called Vampire Town. I'm surprised not everyone there is a vampire. The mayor vampire villain looks goofy as heck. Yeah, he really did. They overdid his makeup. They tried to make him look like, I think, the night shift vampire, but half the budget and does not look good. He's going on worse. These vampires suck. Alright, so let's talk about... I'm trying to remember who this little boy is. If somebody could help me point out who this one is, then please do. But we'll talk about the secret admirer, the Two-Face, going on to meh. I'll put him under Bobcat Goldthwait. This is the evil secret admirer. Basically, he's this ghost boy who crushes on girls who remind him of his dead crush. He had like a crush on the main character's mother, and now he's moving on to her hot daughter, basically. Got this creepy Two-Face kind of look because he was killed in a fiery explosion. I do like the makeup. They made him look rather gruesome. He's got like half his body burnt, sort of like Harvey Dent completely. Basically, this is just teen Two-Face. 2 guns, bitch! I believe the boy's another ghost from Old Man Corcoran. Okay, if that's true, then we'll put him with the other ghost kids. So yeah, basically, another ghost kid from Old Man Corcoran. We'll put him on meh. Anyways, Secret Admirer Two-Face. Basically, he's a psychotic yandere who's stalking this teenage girl, trying to get in her pants, trying to get her to be his ghost bride. However, her boyfriend, or love interest I should say, trying to help free her, and basically it's kind of a scary love triangle kind of story. This douchey jock becomes a good guy and goes through a redemption arc, while she at first likes the secret admirer, but then he slowly reveals his Two-Face side and tries to kill them both in a murder-suicide, where the dumb jock redeems himself and saves her, and he dies in the fiery explosion. What's exactly gonna stop him from coming back and haunting another girl? I don't know. I think he's meh. Do not like the Secret Admirer episode. The villain is alright, but really undercooked. I would say his design definitely won him points, but he's going on meh. Just a bad heartbreaker. Secret Admirer, huh? I didn't know that this guy was a villain. Yeah, he tries to kill the main girl near the end of the episode. Thanks, Shadowlink. Want to do a tier list on celebrating 100th anniversary of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World? I'm not sure I can. Unless it's Jurassic Park, then maybe. Oh, great, a yandere villain, just like the boy yandere villain from The Haunting Hour Valentine's Day. Yeah, except this guy actually did look cool. Like, is this Gotham 1990 version? Okay, you want the samurai, okay. Okay, here he is. The Dark Samurai. I will put him on... This is sadly going to be another like. This is the villain of The Tale of the Misfortune Cookie. Basically, it's kind of an It's a Wonderful Life story. This Chinese boy has a falling out with his Asian family. They run like a Chinese restaurant. He doesn't get along well with his mom and dad because they always make choices for him. Then he wishes he was like never born into this family and undergoes an It's a Wonderful Life story. However, there's a villain in this story, the Dark Samurai, who's basically chasing the boy around. The Dark Samurai is trying to basically like kind of kill him, mess with him, trying to hurt him, and basically remove him from this timeline, kind of. But in a twist, we find out the Dark Samurai is him. It's his dark side, his dark chi, his like dark inner chakra. It's actually the boy's evil like yin and yang side, I believe. There's like a white samurai that shows up too, trying to help save him and guide him on the right path. Basically, they're fighting over his morality. That's why he's been stalking the Chinese boy. The boy learns that his family does need him after all, and he sides with the white samurai, and together they beat the evil black samurai, and basically his good side is taking over and getting rid of the bad. And yeah, it is a pretty neat twist. Definitely a good idea, though the story's kind of a mess, not gonna lie. That pretty much is a total ripoff of It's a Wonderful Life, where he learns to appreciate the little things, but with evil Chinese warriors. The dark side of the main character from the Misfortune Cookie. Definitely one of the better revival Are You Afraid of the Dark stories. Yeah, this story definitely had potential. It has a lot of nice moments. I do like how they're teaching him to appreciate life, basically. He learns to love himself and appreciate what he had and be there for his family and sister, where he reforms, basically, and they expel the evil side of him. The Dark Samurai is basically like a metaphorical, symbolic villain, and I did kind of like him. I'll put him on like, but not one of the iconic monsters. Like, feels like a prototype of Black Samurai from Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword. The Dark Samurai, ooh, scary. It doesn't look scary to me at all, though. Yeah, the armor looks kind of goofy, so not gonna lie, it looks like he belonged in a martial arts kind of story rather than a horror show. Did you already do the 13th floor aliens? Nope, they're still here. He did not, Christopher. Yep, they're still here. Okay, I guess we'll do them next, then. Alright, the 13th floor aliens. Going on to terrifying. Yeah, these are not actual villains. That is the big twist. Basically, aliens occupy the alleged abandoned 13th floor. We're in this kind of like an apartment complex, and the 13th floor is completely abandoned until suddenly it isn't, where strange people appear and they claim they're working for a toy company, where the main characters volunteer to do tests for them, test their products and do their toys. Unbeknownst to them, they're actually aliens in disguise. They're aliens who are testing the children for vague reasons. We don't find out they're actually good guys. The aliens are actually trying to find one of their lost children. And it turns out the little girl is an alien like them. She was lost in this galaxy a long time ago, and the aliens are really her family. However, for some stupid reason, they kind of act threatening and monstrous and terrify the kids, rather than explaining that they're the good guys. Definitely creepy, though in a way not actual villains. The more you watch, the more you pity what happens, especially after the twist. Yeah, the Area 51 aliens. Ooh, spooky. Yeah, they look like Slenderman. Also, Fear from Are You Afraid of the Dark was in this. Yeah, Fear, Christopher Heyerdahl is one of the aliens. He's like the tall, creepy-looking alien. Basically kind of like the doorman. Christopher Heyerdahl, who plays Fear, is one of the aliens in his human disguise, and underneath their human faces, they look like Slenderman. They have, like, blank, expressionless faces. There's, like, no eyes, no mouth there. Have no faces, and they wear kind of, like, silver suits, kind of. In the end, there's a really dark, depressing twist where we find out that, oh, they were actually trying to save the girl because if you didn't come back, you would revert to your alien form and be frozen here until we'd have to come back 1,000 years later. And Yeah, it ends on kind of a dark twist where we find out the little girl was an alien and they were performing tests on them to find her, basically. She reverts to her Slenderman alien form and is basically frozen like that until they come back one day. And yeah, it is kind of a creepy, depressing twist. They were actually trying to help her, and now she brought a horrible fate upon herself because she didn't trust the strangers. They were definitely creepy, though, so I will put them on terrifying, just because they were very threatening and very ominous. This shot of them, like, up in the UFO trying to bring her up really traumatized kids for life, and the twist ending is one of the darkest. Yeah, young Fear. He did have hair back then, so yeah. We'll put him on terrifying. They are out of this world. Speaking of scary aliens, let's do the Zookeeper from the Tale of the Closet Keepers, who also going on terrifying, and above them because he's actually a villainous alien. So, if you can't tell, this is the creepy Zookeeper from the Tale of the Closet Keepers, a really underrated kick-ass episode, which had positive representation for handicapped people. Basically, the Zookeeper is running a human zoo. He's abducting human children for his exhibit, and he captures two kids who are forced to work together in order to escape him. The Zookeeper uses, like, these super sonar soundwave type of guns, and forces aliens to submit to him through ear rape. Yeah, he uses, like, weaponized ear rape. Just like one of Cat's old reviews. Hey-oh! Curse you, house! Yeah, basically, he uses, like, super sonar devices to hold them prisoner, and the main character is actually a deaf girl, and she's trapped with one of the idiot bullies who picked on her because she's deaf, and the idiot bully is forced to eat humble pie and go through a redemption arc, forced to work with the deaf girl in order to escape the aliens. The deaf girl, because she can't hear, the sonar weapons can't affect her, making her a genuine threat against this creepy Zookeeper. Actually, I believe that's the Banshee from Jake and the Leprechaun. Is that him? I don't think it is, because he's, like, wearing the weird tattered clothes. Feels like the alien girl become frozen and taken to the Science Museum in outer space. The Zookeeper, never heard of this villain. Actually, I haven't watched a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark classic episodes yet. Yeah, it's pretty good. The Tale of the Closet Keeper is definitely underrated. Like, the Zookeeper's alien is weird, why not animals? Well, humans are animals. We see he works for, like, an alien museum, and the alien's never seen humans before. Curse you, house! Why isn't Wolf in the stream? Because Wolf is not a fan of Are You Afraid of the Dark. He hasn't watched a single episode and has no familiarity with it. I try to get Wolf on as many streams as possible, but it has to appeal to him. Anyways, Zookeeper, a pretty creepy villain. I believe this is the Zookeeper. It might be the Banshee. I believe they use the same makeup because he also looks like the vampire mayor, but yeah. I do think if this is the Zookeeper, he goes on terrifying. Very creepy villain. He wants to run a human zoo. The kids basically escape him and defeat him and escape from his zoo and land back on Earth. This guy is very unsettling and very monstrous. Easily an underrated villain. Not iconic because the makeup job does not look very good on him. Basically, he looks more like a crackhead hobo than an alien, but we'll put him on terrifying because he wants to harm and profit off of kids. And that in itself is terrifying. You think it's the Banshee? Is it? Is that the Banshee? I can't tell. The Banshee looked a little bit different, but I'm not sure. I think this is the Zookeeper. It looks like him too. We'll count him as the Zookeeper then. The Banshee doesn't deserve to be on this list, if you ask me. Sorry, just getting some water. Anyways, let's talk about the book monster, the bookish babysitter. Going on to meh. Number one, this monster was actually the babysitter who's a witch in disguise. It's kind of a prototype Dead Time Stories. Basically, the tale of the bookish babysitter, this magical witch who babysits children, punishes this kid who is basically acting like a brat and doesn't like books. But she traps the brat into a magic book world where she teaches him how reading is fun. And this is kind of the villain of the book story. This villain, it's supposed to be the witch in like a creepy, corrupt form, basically chasing and terrorizing the boy, but the boy goes on a magical adventure where he learns about the value of reading. And yeah, technically not a real villain. It was all an illusion. It was basically the witch teaching him a lesson, and she lets him free once he cherishes books and enjoys his adventure. Basically, this villain was never real. He was never in any real danger. The villain definitely over the top, goofy, cackling witch, but not one of my favorites. Yeah, the Closet Keeper had horns. That guy doesn't. Okay, this is the... I thought there were horns, like, right here. Those look like horns coming from the sides of him, but if this is the Banshee, I'll lower him down to meh. But we'll put him on top if this is the Closet Keeper guy. Oh yeah, Bookish Babysitter, The Witch, alright. Definitely an alright read, but not a must-see episode in my mind. The babysitter was hot. You would, John Smith. Like, is this Sabrina the Teenage Witch Mother, the Bookish Babysitter? I think she was. All the villain does is teaches the boy about reading. That's it. Yeah, basically it's a lesson to teach kids to read more. Ironically on Are You Afraid of the Dark and not Goosebumps, but I think the villain is meh. It's fine. Alright, but you know who's not fine? The Manaha, who are also going on the bottom along with the evil shaman. Yeah, the tale of the Manaha. If you can't tell, these are the monstrous Manaha. We never get a good picture of them. They look like guys wearing the Twilight Zone gremlin suits. They pop up in the shadows, but we never get a one scene of them standing still. They hop all over the place, are implied to be these Bigfoot monsters haunting a haunted summer camp, but they're actually minions to the true mastermind, the evil ghost shaman. The tale of the Manaha, not a good episode. It is one of the worst episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and the villains do not make any sense. For starters, the villain is this evil illusionist shaman who is trying to scare the boys at the summer camp off his land to reclaim it back, and for some reason that makes him the bad guy, even though he was with the Native Americans who lived on Manaha. Yeah, I went over this, the weird racial implications about this. I don't think Are You Afraid of the Dark thought it out very well, and the Manaha are basically illusions. They're not real, and the shaman has no real power. Basically, the main character learns to embrace the spirits of nature and calls out this guy's bluff, realizing he's a fake, he's a phony, he's an illusionist with no real power, which kind of raises the question as, if the Manaha weren't real, then what the hell was actually happening when he was attacking all the camp counselors and the boys at summer camp? I can only assume that they were like getting high and this old man was beating them to death with his cane. By Oscar Butts! Classic line. Teen Titans Go sucks, Akira. You don't have to keep reminding us. I mean, once again, not a villain, since the villains are imaginary the whole time, and the bookish babysitter, yeah, not a total villain. Wow, two bad villains in the worst spot, oh goody. Well, they're from the same episode, too. Manaha means gift of Allah, a direction, a path of life. Yeah, they kind of go for a spiritual episode, but it fails, and these villains do not make sense. Like, if it was an illusion, what was actually happening and terrorizing the camp? But yeah, the Manaha, they're fake. They're illusions. They're minions. The main character was deceived by this magic shaman, and the magic shaman gets bested by the little boy and trapped back in his jar prison he was stuck in. And yeah, basically, the only satisfying moment is the main character embraces summer camp and they get back at the idiot bully by making him carry all their crap. Manaha sucks, and these villains do not make sense, and they're not very scary, not very entertaining, and the logic in this episode is completely confusing and stupid. They're on the worst next to Digger and reboot Captain Cutter. Family Guy. Hey, you're nothing but a big fat phony. Yeah, that fits this guy. Alright, while we're on bad villains, let's get out the Laser Maze creator, Discount Jim Carrey. Also going on to worse. This guy was very goofy and over-the-top ridiculous. The Tale of the Laser Maze, I was honestly looking forward to because the concept was fun on paper. Unfortunately, in execution, it was kind of a mess. Basically, this guy is actually an alien in disguise who created this arcade laser maze so he can have humans come in and basically become ultimate soldiers. He's making clones by studying them and their laser tag ability. They play in the laser maze, play laser tag, do obstacles that their soldiers have to be ready for like an alien invasion or something. One of the sisters is better than the other sisters, and we find out he's taking them hostage to make clone copies of them for foot soldiers for his alien armada. The laser maze is secretly studying them and their shooting abilities, and he creates evil clones of the kids to become their alien soldiers. However, the kids best the clones, then he takes matters into his own hands, as you can see here, and becomes a super villain. Yeah, he fights them in the laser maze, this time with real lasers on hard mode. The episode and villain were definitely not super. Yeah, that's his catchphrase. He keeps saying super. Yeah, he's trying to go for like a Jim Carrey impression, which very weird and baffling, especially considering the episode. The laser maze, I did give a bronze skull. There were definitely good elements here, but the villain was not one of them. He's not scary, he's not threatening, not very smart, and basically he's trying to make clone soldiers out of teenage girls and gets bested by them. The laser maze villain is another bad villain. Kind of looks like a hippie Michael Jackson, by the way. Robotnik. Do you know what I did to my bully? The laser maze guy was the final boss and the girl beats it. Yay, terrible villain, terrible story. Yeah, he took his shot and he missed. This is definitely a miss of a villain. I like the episode in concept, but the guy playing the villain, ultimately not scary and more on the goofier side. He's only like an inch above the Renegade virus. Definitely goofy, not super. Alright, let's talk about something a bit better. Okay, let's talk about the ghost of Hamlet from The Tale of the Walking Shadow, who I will put on like, but next to the Hunchback, he's also not evil. This is another Phantom of the Auditorium-like villain. Basically, I believe his name is Adrian. He's the ghost of a dead acting student who performed at this local high school where Carly, Beth, and Hiccup are attending. Their high school production is performing Hamlet after, like, the anniversary of his death, basically. And this ghost shows up and basically scares, haunts, and attacks Hiccup, and is trying to basically become the star of the show, swiping his role from the play and doing the Phantom of the Auditorium story where he's fulfilling his destiny and gaining like closure by starring in the Hamlet play himself. He's fighting Hiccup and undergoes a lot of love triangle antics. Hiccup is trying to score with Carly Beth. Yeah, Carly Beth is in this episode and she plays like the cute girl that Hiccup's trying to impress. She's an ice queen to him, but slowly warms up to him, while the Walking Shadow is kind of in the back, sabotaging the play and doing spooky stuff. So this is a school play villain. Okay, this should be interesting. I thought the episode that was actually pretty entertaining. However, we find out in the twist he's not actually a villain. He attacks Hiccup on stage during rehearsal, and we find out he just wanted to fulfill his role and talked to the girl of his dreams too. We find out he's not so different from Hiccup. He also had a crush on a drama girl. It's actually the costumes and makeup department teacher. She was actually in the play set to be with him, and she was a ghost all along too, which very weird and not explained very well, but yeah, he was trying to impress her. He finally performs his role on stage, makes peace with Hiccup, and he hooks up with the girl of his dreams, and Hiccup appropriately scores the heart of Carly Beth because he shows her that he knows Shakespeare very well. Yeah. Just reading some comments, like the robot girl's head come off haunt me. That was the creepiest part of the laser maze. Did you know there's an old Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo episode where the gang also face Hamlet's ghost? I'm sure there is, but it's part of the Scrappy era, which I don't watch a lot of. Ah, like the Gallows 1 and 2, but done better. Sort of. So this is Adrian Agresta's ancestor who's a ghost. Not sure on that one. So basically the Phantom of the Auditorium without the red herrings. Yeah, that is exactly it. Guy is pretty much the Phantom of the Auditorium, but we know exactly who he is and what he's after. So, I do like the Walking Shadow. I will put him on like. He's definitely a decent villain, but not an all-star. We'll say that. He definitely stole the show, but didn't win the award. Alright, let's do the Shadow Man. I am the Shadow Man, and I will never harm the person under whose bed I live. Gonna put them on meh. I am not a fan of the Super Specs. I know, gonna upset a lot of you, but the Super Specs monsters are barely a factor in it. Basically, a girl buys from Sardo's magic shop these super specs which can see sight beyond sight, and she sees these spooky shadow men walking among us, and the shadow men are trying to take over the world by escaping from their dimension and taking over ours and sending us in their place, basically. The shadow men are not very compelling villains and not super explored. That is kind of my big problem with them. There was their queen leader, too. Yeah, I don't see her on here. I mean, unless this is her, but I don't think that is her. Yeah, the Shadow Men, they're definitely decent villains, but not super great. It's mostly the little girl sees them, and she's running from them, trying to figure out what they are. They host a séance with Sardo, where they find out that the Shadow People are actually evil, and they successfully conquer our dimension or something. Not my favorite villains. Super Specs, I gave a bronze skull to, because there's half a good episode here, but feels really undercooked, and it did not win me over with Sardo. I am the Shadow Man. Scrappy is freaking annoying as hell. Trust me, Scrappy's less annoying in that one. Scrappy's less annoying in the movies, but in the shows, he's very irritating. Even Wolf couldn't stand him on the show. I prefer I am the Shadow, the true self. Yeah, okay. Shadow Men didn't leave a huge mark for me. They were overshadowed by superior monsters. Alright, I believe this guy is the zombie from the Tale of the Reanimator. I think this is him. I'll put him on also like. I actually do like the Tale of the Reanimator. It's basically Resident Evil Nemesis meets Jeffrey Combs' Reanimator. Basically, two kids screw around in Jeffrey Combs' shop. They steal an elixir, and this elixir can revive plants, but also revive people. And they accidentally dump it on some random guy's grave, where they summon the zombie. And the zombie, kind of a weak-ass design, which is why he loses points. He looks like some guy, basically. Looks like some dirty hobo-looking guy, and basically, he's stalking the kids and trying to kill them, Nemesis style. And I did like this episode. There was like a lot of tension, a lot of drama. The kid characters are actually likable and charming, and the zombie gets a really brutal death near the end. The zombie, not a super smart monster, it's more of a primal beast. It's chasing them until they eventually trap him in the plant shop and use the heating room because a zombie can get killed by heat. He has like plant DNA in him, and overheating him with sunlight kills him, and he melts in a really gruesome death. I have to go now. My dog needs me. See ya, Lowbone Wool Gang. I don't think this is the zombie. Isn't it? It looks like the zombie. It's very hard to tell. I think this is him, but it's like very shadowed and he's in a forest like the zombie was. I prefer I'm the Shadow. Should read that one. Yeah, new Scooby-Doo show made Scrappy and Daphne join Shaggy and Scooby. Fred and Velma make appearances in that on and off, but yeah, it was definitely a different show. I did grow to like it because of how crazy it was. Like, better than the Haunting Hour version. Yeah, much better than Best Friend Forever, we'll put it that way. I do like this zombie, but once again, not one of the iconic villains. We'll put him on like. Alright, final string. I'm going to use the restroom again, but you guys cast your vote on who you want to see next. We're on the last string, so we're narrowing down, nearing the end game, people. BRB. Alright, I'm back. What did you guys vote on? People want Badge, the wolf monster from the Dream episode. Slappy was played by Mark Hamill. Oh, Mark Hamill voiced Slappy in the Fox commercial. Okay. Jake the Snake or the Night Shift Vampire. I want to end on a high note. It's alright. We'll do Badge from The Tale of Badge, who... Going into favorites. Yep, I really liked Badge. First off, the makeup on this guy looks amazing. They made him look like kind of a badger, really creepy beastman type of look. For those of you who don't know, Badge is an evil wizard. We follow this little girl who thinks she has nothing going on in life, she's not special. However, she's actually from a lineage of magical wizard girls. She's like a magical girl. Her grandma is like a former mage who trapped Badge in like basically this evil trinket. However, the annoying bratty brother screws around with it and accidentally releases Badge into our world. And Badge takes over the house, traps grandma in his place, and he's after basically this little girl and her magical trinket. The grandmother passed off this magical gem, I believe, to the little girl, and Badge is a wizard who's after her, haunting the house, turns the house into this creepy jungle world, and a magic forest is rising. Badge wants to reclaim his power and take over the world, of course. However, the little girl has to best him in a wizard's duel. And yeah, Badge, really creepy villain, really awesome look. They made him a total beast man. He looks like a badger, has kind of an animal face, looks like a creepy homeless guy wardrobe, and the guy's voice very threatening. You will give me it, girl. Yeah, Badge is a great villain with a great design. The makeup looks amazing. Are You Afraid of the Dark's practical effects are at their best in this episode. The Tale of Badge honestly would have made my top 10 best episodes ever. Yeah, Badge is S tier. Badge is awesome. So I looked it up. Yes, the woman is the Shadow Queen lady, trying to figure out who the muscle guy is. This guy. Okay, I thought he was the Guardian of the Oblivion. I think he might be from The Tale of the Pinball Wizard. Okay, so this is the Shadow Queen. We'll also put her on meh. I'll put her above her followers. The Shadow Queen, basically the leader of these evil shadow monsters, but she didn't really do anything. That was kind of the thing. She's a shadow like them until she physically appears. Anyways, Badge, yeah, he's awesome. Evil sorcerer, a magic animal man, a very feral, violent monster. Basically, threatens this little girl. The little girl masters her powers and defeats this evil villain, traps him, can't remember what it's called. It's like the Willow or something. Basically, masters her magic power and traps Badge back in his evil prison and frees Grandma. And basically it ends on this fun, the adventure continues type of story where the little girl now realizes she does have a life, she does have a greater purpose, she is not a nobody, and Badge, really awesome villain, evil wizard basically combating her, does really disturbing things, takes the brother hostage, takes Grandma and traps her, has this evil like forest demon world kind of thing. Absolutely love Badge, and the makeup has held up supremely well. This guy looks scary to this very day. I will put him on S tier. He is simply magical. I am the Shadow Queen. You took my spot. I'm the Shadow Man. I'm the true best villain. Shadow Queen looks like Grades Allele. Almost. I thought she looked more like Rachel Weisz, but yeah, we'll put her on meh. Alright, so I'm very certain this guy was on the Pinball Wizard. He's like one of the villains who fights the gamer boy. Alright, but while we're figuring that out, we'll talk about the evil Nazarak from the Tale of the Magician's Assistant, who I will put on terrifying. So once again, Are You Afraid of the Dark has an Emperor Palpatine looking villain. Basically, this guy is also an illusion. We find out that there's an evil wizard trying to attack the magician's assistant. The magician assistant is learning from, like, the great Shandu. No, that wasn't his name. Basically, he's trying to learn from an all-powerful wizard, all his magic tricks, trying to take over his magic act. It's the magician's assistant, and we learn that there is an evil wizard who's trying to steal the good wizard's magic and preying upon the magician's assistant, fighting him, where the boy learns responsibility with magic. However, this guy wasn't actually real. He was his mentor, the actual wizard, in disguise all along, and it was all a test to see if he could truly master the dark arts kind of thing. Give me my wand! And yeah, it definitely looks like the Pinball Wizard villain. Okay, the first villain the main character fought. Okay. Slappy was played by Mark Hamill on Fox Kids commercials. I did not know that. I'll have to listen to those. Yeah, basically this guy is the actual magician in disguise. He was testing the boy all along, just test his heroic resolve. And of course, the boy masters magic and defeats the Nazarak illusion and proves himself worthy to take over the act, where the magician retires and gives him his wand. Yeah, this guy, pretty spooky, but again, he's not ultimate villain tier. Looks like Emperor Palpatine, and he was also not real. But we'll stick him on terrifying anyway, because he did a good job. Okay, so this is one of the NPCs from the Pinball Wizard. We'll also put him on meh. Didn't really think much. I'll put the Zookeeper Banshee above him, because he was at least fun, but yeah, this is one of the minions from Pinball Wizard. Alright, looks like an old-fashioned executioner. Don't know why they put him on here and not Mr. Click, but we'll stick him on meh. Alright, got a lot of good villains left, and 2 meh ones. Blacksmith Orange! Yeah, you made it. Don't worry, Blacksmith. We got a few villains left. Hey, Blacksmith Orange. Did you know you're on this list, Blacksmith? How did they get an evil wizard in the Tale of the Magician's Assistant and not get sued by Star Wars? Yeah, this is just Emperor Palpatine. It looks like him, acts like him, and ultimately wants evil wizard powers. So yeah, we'll put him on terrifying. Hey, Blacksmith Orange, don't worry, on the final 6. And we got a lot of good faces and some not so good. Since Blacksmith Orange is here, let's talk about him, the dark music monster, who's, yeah, as you can guess, going on to favorites. Yeah, Blacksmith Orange, you are a favorite. Really like the dark music monster. This is the ghoul who lives under the creepy house. Basically, a family inherits their dead uncle's house in the suburban neighborhood. They move in, but the boy finds out there's a monster who lives under the creepy basement. And this monster comes out whenever music is played. This ghoul, frightening. It is creepy. It's kind of Pennywise's It on a PG kid show. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, Blacksmith Orange. Glad I could make it too. I don't know why this doesn't have the witches from the Mystic Mirror and the unfinished painting. I guess they don't count because they're human villains. Death battled Buffy Summers versus Daphne. Buffy will win. Should have had the doll image. Then again, yeah. If you don't know, this thing, we never see its true form, but it shapeshifts. This thing turns into like a creepy doll, turns into a carny, turns into a skeleton, turns into like kind of these feral monsters lurking in the dark. I believe at one point like turned into like a Batman, I believe. Basically, it needs to eat human souls. It nearly kills Andy, but Andy traps the idiot bully down here, and the idiot bully gets horribly murdered and eaten by this thing, but, you know, he was an ass, so he deserved it. And basically, you find out the monster can be reasoned with. It is sentient. We find out the monster can grant magic wishes if you feed him. And it implies that he's gonna feed his sister to this thing next. Andy, Mom says you better have me ready for dinner. And yeah, he gives a creepy look at the camera while the monster laughs evilly. And this monster, it is nightmare-inducing. For one thing, we never find out what it is or what it truly looks like. It's this shadow ghoul that operates like Pennywise or It. It can turn into things and feed off of nightmares. However, it wants to basically eat people, and it can grant you magic wishes. It gives Andy like a new bike, which the idiot bully destroyed earlier. After the idiot bully dies, it gives him a new replacement bike, and makes a deal with him. As long as you keep feeding me like your uncle did, I'll make your dreams and wishes come true. And yeah, basically Andy turns to the dark side thanks to this thing's influence. And yeah, this thing, very creepy. We never fully see it. We see all its creepy shape-shifting forms. And yeah, that doll is horrifying. Even to this very day, the doll girl is nightmare-inducing. Certainly more better than Chapter 2 of it, yeah. That doll image, very unsettling. Yeah, this monster, easily a favorite. It is an iconic Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and appropriately, the monster is one of the scariest to this very day. All these years later, this monster, and especially the doll girl, have held up magnificently well as horror icons. They're going on to favorite. Definitely a tune you'll want to listen to. Alright, let's get our last weak monster off of here, the Shadowman. The Shadowman, going down low onto meh. This is the monster from the reboot season, Curse of the Shadows. So the Shadowman is a really cool looking Mordio-like monster. Basically, this creepy skeletal demon shadow ghoul who hangs out in a dark forest. Basically, the Shadowman is actually the depressed father of this little girl who died. Basically, a single dad and his daughter lived in a haunted lighthouse. One day, they were going to lose their home. The daughter ran away from home only to accidentally die falling off a cliff, where the dad succumbed to depression and became a monster, vowing revenge against society for costing him everything. His job, his home, and the life of his daughter, where he evolved or devolved into the Shadowman monster. Now, this sounds really cool, right? Well, it takes forever for this miniseries to get to the fucking point. It is slow, and the Shadowman looks cool, but all he does is jump scares for 4 episodes straight. The MU of Buffy Summers versus Daphne Blake. Like, that doll girl could make Scooby-Doo and Shaggy be traumatized. Yeah, that doll girl, very creepy. But not as frightening as the doll robot from Squid Games or for the Dark Music doll. The Shadowman remake is weird, like he's less Black Shadow figure. Yeah, unfortunately, this design actually really cool. I do think he's very creepy. They did use practical effects for his monster form, so that was pretty cool. However, he's barely in it. That is kind of a huge deal breaker for me. The monster is barely a factor. Why? Because Curse of the Shadows focuses on the cheesy CW drama. It focuses way too much time on the teen antics, the teen romance, and CW angstfest. Curse of the Shadows is boring. It's so boring and focuses way too much on the Midnight Society's social lives and high school drama. And that is not at all what I wanted to see. I hated when they did this crap in the Haunting Hour movie. And for some reason, Nickelodeon decided to double down on the tween romances in this. And yeah, it hogs way too much screen time. The Shadowman is barely in his own miniseries. So, halfway through, the Shadowman basically abducted one of the Midnight Society members and returns him, but we find out, I believe his name was Connor, he's actually the Shadowman wearing his physical form. The Shadowman is possessing one of the Midnight Society members, and basically he's trying to kill the Midnight Society who are standing in his way. They're foiling his evil plan, stopping him. He marked them for death when they intruded upon his forest. He captures all the Midnight Society except for one, this loser twink boy, who has to basically toughen up and save his friends and combat his fears. And they kind of use time travel to defeat the Shadowman, and yeah, here's how you can tell when a story has completely lost steam. You have time travel and Deus Ex Machina save the day. Basically, the Shadowman went to Sardo's magic shop in the past and bought a cursed trinket from Sardo. Yes, they did get the OG Sardo for the flashback scenes. Sardo sold him a magic trinket, which turned him into this monster. And basically, they had to go back in time and prevent his little girl from dying. And they signed her stupid petition to save the lighthouse, which prevented the Shadowman from ever becoming a monster. That is how they stopped this guy. They use time travel because the ghost is too OP. And unfortunately, the Shadowman is barely present in this because there's more focus on the teen drama. The Shadow remake is weird, yeah. He feels like a lame Skeletor in Horn King costume. Yeah, that's what sucks. He looks pretty good, but he barely does anything. Like the Supernatural episode is better. Yeah, it is way better. Shadowman, he sucks. This guy sucks. He is a disappointment. I'll put him on meh because I do like how he looks, and honestly, the miniseries got better in the last 2 episodes, but it is way too long. The Curse of the Shadows is 6-hour-long episodes, and it drags, man. It drags. We don't even find out who the Shadowman is until, like, episode 4. And the Midnight Society are very obnoxious and unfunny, and I actually cheered when this guy murdered half of them. But yeah, very disappointing villain. I'm putting him on meh. What can I say? He should have stayed in the shadows. Yep, 80s Twilight Zone episode is way better. Like, the new Midnight Society feel dull. What happened to the old Midnight Society? Well, they grew up. They moved on. The reboot does address that they're kind of a different generation. There's Midnight Society gangs, like, everywhere. Like, each town, like, the middle of nowhere has their own Midnight Society. They do address in Curse of the Shadows that there's multiple Midnight Societies. They're just the one centered in this town, which I find alright, but it's kind of Kids Next Door-ish. Very weird that the Midnight Society has, like, you know, groups out there all on social media and whatnot. But yeah, it sucks. And let's get our last reboot villain out of the way. Mr. Top Hat, the creepy Carnival of Doom circus ringleader. I will put him on like. Yeah, the guy performing him very well. Mr. Top Hat is initially a really creepy villain. This is from the first Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot series, and tragically the only decent one. I do think it's fine, not one of my favorites, but easily the best of the reboot era. Basically, Mr. Top Hat, he's a fictional villain from the New Girl story, but then he comes to life in the real world, and he runs this haunted carnival. The Carnival of Doom, it started out decent, but got really rushed by the end. We find out Mr. Top Hat made a deal with the devil. He was gonna lose his circus, he couldn't make money off of it. Then this creepy shadow guy, like implied to be Satan, makes a deal with him, and Mr. Top Hat becomes immortal and saves his Carnival of Doom, so long as he like takes children's souls. It's all parts of the show, kid. But again, in the words of Spider-Man 2099, you can't break the canon event, and they did. Normally, I'd be like, at least make one of them Gary or Tucker's kids or something, but from what I've heard today, it's probably best they didn't try to connect it to the OG like that. Yeah, apparently Gary's actor actually said on social media he did not like the revival Are You Afraid of the Darks. Gary's actor said they should have let it be because it's not scary and heavily toned down because modern kids can't handle the hardcore 90s anymore. Like, Midnight Society have some lore. The Nickelodeon era tried to do that. They did imply there were multiple Midnight Societies in the Silver Site too, but Nickelodeon, like, made it canon. Like an evil Willy Wonka, certainly more creepy than a pimp named Slickback the Boondocks. Like he looks like a cool for MCU ringmaster, like the lore we get in Silver Site. Yeah, Silver Site did imply there were multiple Midnight Societies and different generations of them. The Nickelodeon one just like flat out says it, and the Midnight Society have like a social media website. Anyways, Mr. Top Hat, I liked him. He's not explored until the final episode. Basically, he has these like really creepy scorpion powers. He's a boogeyman. He follows kids, lures them to his circus, and basically traps them there forever, where they become a part of the show. Basically, he wanted to entertain people, but fell into villainy. Then, the Midnight Society essentially foil his scheme. It is kind of a rushed finale, not gonna lie. This one only had 3 episodes, and honestly, it could have used a bit longer time to expand upon him. Basically, they confront him and they destroy all Top Hats, and he dies. His death is pretty cool because they also make him die like the Silver Sight Demon. He rapidly decays, he ages, time catches up with him, and he turns into a skeleton and dies when his top hat is destroyed, and all the children he trapped in the circus are set free. They release all the souls, and Mr. Top Hat's troupe basically disappears. Mr. Top Hat, classic boogeyman type of ghost, definitely a good actor, very creepy atmosphere, not one of the best villains ever. I did think they did fine, but I would put him on like. He's definitely the strongest of the reboot era villains. Yeah, I like the lore we got from Silver Sight. Yeah, that was way better. Some Midnight Society is an organization of children around the world, like I want to see a Japanese version of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but animate. That would be better, but no, Nickelodeon's gonna waste time. Alright, final 3. Let's go. We'll do Nosferatu. Going on to favorites. Yeah, love him. Love the Midnight Madness. That was my first review on Are You Afraid of the Dark, and we were lucky to get that one up finally. Nosferatu, really cool. Love him in his silent movie, and of course, they did very well translating him into the real world. Christopher Heyerdahl, who plays Fear from The Haunting Hour, also plays this guy. Yeah, I was surprised. He plays the vampire. So, Dr. Vink brings a scary movie to the movie theater, as I mentioned way earlier. He tries to buy the theater, but Mr. Krabs screws him over, so Vink vows revenge, where he magically brings his movie to life, and the character Count Orlock becomes real. He escapes from his movie dimension and attacks the theater, going on a killing spree. He successfully murders Mr. Krabs, and the 2 kids have to fight him and save the day. Love him. He looks very ominous, very unsettling. They don't have him talk. He is a silent movie monster, and he never once speaks or makes a sound. His movements are very creepy. He has the Count Orlock look down pat. The makeup is very good on him. Christopher Heyerdahl has this creepy energy to him, and Nosferatu is just as unsettling as he was in the silent era. Midnight Madness version of Nosferatu classic. Dang it, Nosferatu, quit flickering the lights. Yep. If. Expect a review of both the classic and Robert Ebert's remake in the 31 Nights. Alright, Blacksmith Orange is finally going to talk Nosferatu. Very good. I remember Gary's actor was disappointed no one invited the OG cast back. Yeah, they kind of screwed them over on that bill. Nobody came for the first revival series. They brought back original Sardo for Curse of the Shadows. Yeah, once again, Sardo's running his stupid magic shop and sold a trinket which backfires. Yeah, Sardo did come back in the Curse of the Shadows, but it was not very good, and they did not take advantage of him. This, along with the Tale of the Night Shift, are my personal favorite vampires from the 90s. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Have to go now, so I'll just say Midnight Madness Nosferatu is much better than Nosferatu 2024. Fully agree, fully agree. Yeah, Nosferatu, what can I say? He's a classic. He belongs right up here, right on top, and next to the Crimson Clown. Alright, gotta use my last bathroom break, but you guys vote on who you want to see next. Final two, let's go. Alright, Cat's back. Who do you want next? Don't matter, both are good note to end on. I want Margot. Jake the Snake. Okay, it looks like people want Margot. Yeah, that's what the Are You Afraid of the Dark called him. This is the vampire from the Tale of the Night Shift, who, surprise, going on to favorites. And yes, I will say he is way scarier than the pool monster. Tale of the Night Shift, one of the best episodes of the series, precisely because this is the creepiest vampire villain of the entire show. So, hilariously, the Are You Afraid of the Dark wiki lists this guy as Margot, because that's an identity he kind of poses as. He poses as like a nurse. Basically, the vampire is attacking a hospital because it wants to drink all that easy blood. The vampire tricks the hospital into inviting him in by having them sign for a package, like a FedEx package, where it's actually his coffin being delivered to them. And that counted as inviting a vampire into the building, basically. He's invited in and basically goes on a murder spree all episode. He's attacking people, drinking blood, stealing like blood packets, going on a deranged rampage before the nurse Chitara Yeah, I love, they got Cheetara from the 2011 Thundercats. She's our kid hero. Cheetara finds out that the vampire is attacking the hospital and basically corrupting people and turning them into vampires too, and she has to save the day before it's too late. Also, the navy blue Thunder Ranger is one of the hospital staff. Really hilarious. Like, Blake is in this. Yeah, Blake the Blue Ranger, he's in this, and he gets turned into a vampire. The Navy Blue Ranger and Cheetara team up to basically stop the vampire, and yeah, this villain, very creepy. The makeup job on him looks so good, and he looks so creepy. The actor is definitely scary in this. Not over the top, actually full-on villainous and dark. He likes murdering people, likes drinking blood. At one point, he threatens to throw Cheetara off a building and lick what's left on the pavement. Yeah, really sadistic bad guy. Night Shift Vampire is just epic, great design, and great voice. Wait, from what I remember, didn't Dracula also count to London via cargo? I haven't read that book since my senior year of high school, so I don't remember. I think that was Count Orlock, but yeah, basically he's Dracula. Just like Beyond Belief Fact or fiction involving a vampire to hospital, highly recommend checking out the series. Like, why have green skin? It makes him look more like a warlock than a vampire. I guess because they didn't want to rehash the Nosferatu look. Are You Afraid of the Dark did want to try to make the monster look a lot different. I believe he's actually kind of like gray skin, but the lighting makes him look blue. Yeah, really awesome makeup. The vampire in this is very savage and creepy. The guy plays him like a serial killer, which made him a lot more epic. He's basically a full-blown sadistic monster, leeching off of all these poor innocent people. He threatens to throw Cheetara off a building. However, the Navy Blue Thunder Ranger comes to his senses and helps destroy his coffin. And by destroying his coffin, it destroys him. And literally has one of the best death scenes where he's set on fire from the coffin being burned, and he falls off the rooftop. They do replace him with an obvious dummy, and he falls and splatters all over the pavement in one of the most brutal death scenes. Yeah, even this guy's death was really awesome. Hilarious, but really awesome. Yeah, Margot, definitely the queen of the vampires. Really like this guy. Night Shift, underrated episode. It is scary, it is cool, it kicks ass, and the monster is one of their best vampire portrayals ever. He is the anti-Count Nightwing. Definitely the greatest vampire of all. He's on favorites, and he might be our number one. Like, why the vampire in the hospital? Like, I remember the Mystery Inc. Secret Serum have a vampire. Well, yeah, Scooby-Doo has vampires all the time, man. Alright, so let's end on a high note with Jake the Snake. So, surprising absolutely no one, Jake the Snake slithers to up top. Yeah, I'll put him under the basement monster, but above Zebo. Jake the Snake. Really creepy monster. This is Are You Afraid of the Dark's Big Willie. No, Big Yellow. Big Yellow. Basically, he's a creepy guy who lives under the school basement. Jake the Snake used to be a pro hockey player named Jake Desmond. He was once the greatest hockey champ who ever lived, thanks to a magic satanic hockey stick, which made its user better. However, it took a toll on their soul. Basically, the more he used this magic hockey stick from hell, the more it corrupted his body and turned him into a snake man. And yeah, this design, very unsettling. Like the glow-in-the-dark eyes, the glow-in-the-dark teeth, a bit silly at first, but the way it makes him move looks really cool. Has snake arms, like claw for hands. He slithers around, has implied to be a snake tail under where his legs should be. And basically this guy is a living snake man who hides his face with these creepy, like, emperor robes. And yeah, this guy, very unsettling. He preys upon a new wannabe hockey player who wants to be better at playing the sport, where he offers him the magic stick. Little does he know he's actually corrupting him. He's turning him into a snake man like him. This is how you do an epic Snake Man villain. Unlike Teacher's Pet with Mr. Blankenship. Yeah, way better. Way better than Teacher's Pet and Mr. Blankenship. Ah, the Bioconstrictor from 90s Max Steel. Yep, here comes dinner. No female vampire story. Well, I guess Margot counts as gender fluid or something. Always thought it was funny the vamp knew to pass as a girl to avoid suspicion. That's what made her very creepy, very Predator-like. Better vampire than Twilight. Dude, Scooby-Doo has better vampires than Twilight. Yeah, Jake the Snake, really awesome. Kind of turns into like a Batman villain by the end. He takes like the best friend hostage. Basically, the main character is becoming a snake. He suffers the curse of the cobra thanks to Diabolico's magic. He's slowly growing like scales, shedding his skin, acting like a snake, grows fangs, but becomes like too addicted to the stick. Jake the Snake is basically turning him into like another snake man like him, so I guess he won't be alone. However, Jake the Snake catches the best friend, trying to return the stick to him and foil his plans. He takes best friend hostage, where the main kid has to choose his friend or fame. Basically goes back to the basement. Jake the Snake is gonna feed the friend to like a pit of bad CGI snakes. Yeah, I'm sorry, the CGI does not look good, but yeah, basically these weird Beast Wars looking snake pit, and holds him in like a Batman trap where he has to choose either the stick or his friend. Of course, he uses the stick to kill Jake the Snake by whacking him into the Beast Wars pit, where Jake the Snake dies and he saves his best friend. Basically kind of cures himself by letting go of the stick and becoming human again, regaining his soul. But, dun dun dun, we see Jake the Snake isn't finished yet. He rises out of the snake pit, implying that he'll be back for a sequel, which we never got, and thank goodness the reboots didn't bring him back, because they would have ruined him. Who would win in a fight, Jake the Snake or Spider-Man's the Lizard? Ooh, that might be hard. I would say the Lizard, because he's got arms and legs. Better snake monster than the one that moved the furniture on the Haunting Hour, definitely. Jake the Snake, I'll admit, wasn't the scariest villain, but the way he was shot, as well as how he was always in the dark space, made him seem pretty menacing. Yeah, Jake the Snake is more mysterious than scary. He's kind of like a super villain. I would say they kind of give him like a Big Yellow feel. He's this mysterious person who lives in the basement. Nobody knows who he is or what he looks like, which helps elevate his character, make him more well-rounded and creepy. Jake the Snake has a hooded creature feel, like Scooby-Doo villain. Okay. I remember Princess Jasmine became a snake woman in Eye of the Beholder. Never saw the Aladdin animated series. But yeah, Jake the Snake, very underrated villain. I would put him on favorites. The guy playing him has a really devilish voice, and they gave him an ultra cool design. Not one of the scarier ones. I would say Zebo and even the Crimson Clown are far creepier than him, but in terms of monster and villain persona, he is definitely a highlight. Jake the Snake is definitely the dark champ. So, as you can see, that completes our list. Sorry, just drinking some water. So yeah, that pretty much completes our list. We talked about everyone down here and ranked all the monsters, including the bad reboot ones. This was a fun, nice tier list, cat. Looking forward to the more come as well as reviews from the channel. I do have a new video out on Patreon. Don't worry, there is no charge, but you do have to be a Patreon for it. Basically, it's a very fun surprise, which I hope you guys like. Glad I got to see some of it, lol. Don't worry, Blacksmith, I'll go over it one last time for any late birds here. So, in the worst, the garbage tier villains, the Umbra, the Laser Maze CEO, the Gargoyle, the Nightly Neighbors, Madame Visage, the Vampire Mayor of Vampire Town, the Quicksilver, Renegade Virus, Kronos the Destroyer, the Guardian of the Oblivion, Belle the Crappy Genie, The Werewolf Next Door, The Wisdom Glass Court of Fools, Reboot Captain Cutter, The Manaha and the Manaha Wizard, and Digger the Neopet. These all suck. These are the worst. They're all trash villains. Don't even waste your time on these episodes. They are bad. Well, Danger Soup is at least passable, but the rest of these, yeah, they all suck. Next, we have meh. These were the weak ones, the duds. We have, I believe this is the Shadow Queen, someone said. The Shadow Queen and her Shadowmen. The Zookeeper slash the Banshee from Jake and the Leprechaun. One of the NPCs from the Pinball Wizard. The Ghost Children from Old Man Corcoran. The Bookish Babysitter Witch. Frank Gorshin, Bobcat Goldthwait Sandman, Two-Face. The Headless Horseman, the Silent Servant, the Silent Servant's creator, Knockoff Stanley, the Forever Game NPC, the Silver Sight Demon, the Chameleons and the Alien Impersonator, the Phantom Cab Driver, and the Shadowman from the Revival era. They're meh, they're weak. They had a lot going for them, but ultimately ended up as complete letdowns. These are not my favorite monsters, and I think other people might not like them as much. Hearts for Og. Thanks, Blacksmith Orange. Perhaps Haunting Hour villains will be in the future, if one is available, that is. Yeah, I'm still trying to look for one. That's why we haven't gotten to it. I'm sure Wolf will join me on that one, but for now, people want Are You Afraid of the Dark? Anyways, Likeable, the Pinball Wizard, the Walking Shadow Adrian, the Hunchback of Normal High School Last Dance, the Samurai from the Misfortune Cookie, OG Captain Cutter, the Photo Finish Photographer, the Zombie that Reanimator, the Watcher from the Watcher's Woods, the Water Demons, and Mr. Top Hat. I like them. These are definitely decent villains. Have a lot going for them. Cool designs, cool characters and concept. Very fun, but definitely not gonna haunt your nightmares like these high tier ones. But who will haunt your nightmares? The Sorcerer, Goth, who I like to call Quan Chi. Nazarak, the Dark Magician. Dr. Vink with a the Phone Police. The Aliens on the 13th Floor. The Quiet Librarian. The Fire Ghost. And the Ghastly Griner. These are scary. These guys are terrifying. These are cool villains. These are definitely iconic monsters Are You Afraid of the Dark fans absolutely love. But you know who's better? All my favorites. The S tier, the 10 out of 10, the perfect monsters. Nosferatu, the Crimson Clown, Ray Lawson, Badge, the Lizard Queen, Zebo, Jake, the Snake, the Basement Monster, the Pool Monster, and Margot. Love them. These are S tier. These are the mascots. These are the baddest of the bad. These are the ultimate Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters. Number 1 worst, easily Digger. He sucks. He's a bad dog. Number 1, Margot the Vampire Queen / King. This guy, total beast, lovable villain, love to hate him, always feared him, really kick-ass and super savage and monstrous. Really push the boundaries for Are You Afraid of the Dark? Margot, the Vampire of the Night Shift, easily my number 1 Are You Afraid of the Dark monster. Okay, it's fun, and it's Women's Day. Yeah, International Women's Day. Bye, Akira. So yeah, that completes my list. Take a picture if you haven't seen them all. But yeah, they all actually fit on the screen for once. But that completes my Are You Afraid of the Dark monsters list. So thank you all for watching. I'm so glad you enjoyed, and we'll see what tale we have for next time. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or tune in for more tales here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society over.